Chapter 954. Looking at the notice, Xiaochen wondered if he could bring the Miss and Ling Qinxue to the Express Hotel. Just as he was thinking, his phone suddenly rang. Not only that, Jia Muzhen, Qing Menjing, and the others' phones also rang at the same time. Everyone took out their phones in surprise and found that they had received a message at the same time. It was all from Dong Zhiqi, asking them to go to the martial arts club when it was convenient to help receive the students who came to register. Right now, the martial arts club members were already very busy. Xiao Chen and the others had nothing to do anyway, so they went to the martial arts club. It seemed that the martial arts club had really made a name for itself through this evening party. If it continued to develop at this speed, it wouldn't be long before it became the #1 club in Lan City University. Although Xiao Chen was a bit regretful that he couldn't continue with the Miss, he thought that there would be many more opportunities in the future, so one more day wouldn't make much of a difference. On the other side, Redhead and the others were full. Shuigao got Ma Xiaochang to book a room at the hotel and threw Redhead and the others in. He instructed Ma Xiaochang to keep an eye on the hotel and remember Redhead's every move. The next morning, Shuigao received a message from Ma Xiaochang saying that Redhead went to another hotel after he sobered up last night. A sturdy-looking man in black opened the door for him, and Redhead bowed respectfully in front of the door. After about half an hour, Redhead said his goodbyes and went to another room happily while humming a tune. He never came out again. After listening to Ma Xiaochang's report, Shuigao immediately guessed that the people Redhead went to meet were definitely those two experts. Suppressing the excitement in his heart, Shuigao asked for the address and immediately drove off. Ding dong. Shuigao came to the hotel room and pressed the doorbell, waiting quietly. Thinking about meeting experts, his heart was instantly filled with excitement. One had to know that the strength of these two people was even stronger than that young ninja. He heard that the ninja was a stage 5 inner force martial artist, so how strong were the two experts in this room? Not long after, a man dressed in black with messy hair opened the door. Behind him stood a man dressed in white with a sleepy face. "Hey," you asked unhappily when he saw the pretty boy standing outside the door. "Brat, what do you want?" Bai Qi, who was standing behind them, also had a dark expression on his face. The two of them had been fooling around for the whole night. Just now, he was hugging the young model to sleep, so he was naturally very angry when he was suddenly woken up. "Hee, sorry to disturb you. You two must be the bosses of Red Fur, right? I am Shuigao of Lan City's Shui clan. I took the liberty of coming here today to ask for a little help from the two of you," Shuigao said respectfully with a smile on his face. "Brother Black, Brother White, who's making a ruckus so early in the morning? Come and sleep with us for a while more." "That's right. What time is it? There's already a guest. Don't tell me he's a courier." Yawn. Two sweet voices came from the room, and Shuigao's face stiffened when he heard it. Only now did he realize that these two experts were playing with women, and he had accidentally interrupted their fun. No wonder they were so angry. Motherf *Ker, what's Shui clan's ice cream and popsicle? I've never heard of it. If there's nothing else, then hurry up and scram. Don't disturb this lord's rest. Bai Qi waved his hand and impatiently dismissed him. Then, he stretched out his hand to close the door. "Hey, two big brothers, don't be angry." Shuigao hurriedly stepped forward and blocked the door with a flattering smile. "What? Brat, you still want to barge in?" Hey, you glared at him and said fiercely. "Misunderstanding? How could that be possible?" Shuigao hurriedly denied. Then, he turned his head and saw two young models lying on the big bed in the room. However, their appearances were very ordinary. Immediately, a scheme came to his mind. As if he was presenting a treasure, he said, "Big brother, listen to me. I know two very beautiful girls. I can take you to see them. Then, I'll take one and I'll give you the other. They're definitely much better than the young models you're playing with." "Really?" He Yu's interest was piqued. Looking at Shuigao's sneaky, crafty look, he immediately activated his mental cultivation method and released a suppressive aura. With a threatening tone, he said, "Brat, don't try to fool us. Otherwise, I'll make sure that whatever you say next will be the last thing you say in this world. I wouldn't dare. If you don't believe me, you can take a look. I'm definitely not lying. Shuigao suddenly felt like he was being stared at by a ferocious beast. Cold sweat broke out all over his body. Trembling, he took out his phone and found the photo of Su Chuxia and Tian Souring. Then, he eagerly handed it to He Yu and Bai Qi. When the two experts lowered their heads to look at the photo, they were immediately stunned. After being stunned for 5 seconds, He Yu was the first to react. He grabbed Shuigao's collar and pointed at Tian Souring in the photo, roaring, "Speak! Where is this person? You! Why are you asking this?" Shuigao was shocked. He looked at He Yu cautiously and stammered, We haven't finished talking yet." "Aren't you being too impatient?" Shuigao thought that He Yu was horny after seeing the photo and couldn't wait to get Tian Souring into bed. He wanted to talk about the conditions first. However, before he could finish, He Yu, who was grabbing his collar, turned around and grabbed his neck. "Stop talking nonsense. Hurry up and tell me, or I'll kill you," He Yu threatened. His fingers tightened slightly, and Shuigao's fair and clean face instantly turned the color of a pig's liver. I'll tell you. Cough, cough. Boss, please, let go first." Shuigao couldn't breathe, and he felt dizzy from the lack of oxygen. He could only beg for mercy with a bitter face. Then, he felt his throat loosen, and he immediately fell to the ground. He took a few deep breaths, feeling like he had been reborn. "Hurry up. Do you want to have a taste of that feeling again?" Bai Qi threatened in a sinister tone. They live in Lan City View District, Block 3, 15th floor, Room 1502. Shuigao quickly told him Su Chuxia's address. He was afraid that he would be beaten up again if he hesitated. He knew Su Chuxia's hobbies, favorite foods, and her home address like the back of his hand. When Su Chuxia first came to Lanqing University to register, Shuigao had already used his authority to look through Su Chuxia's enrollment file. Since Tian Wangchuan lived with Su Chuxia most of the time, he didn't even have to think about it before blurting it out. "At least you know what's good for you, kid." He Yu snorted. He ignored Shuigao and returned to his room with Bai Qi. He quickly tidied up his clothes and walked out again. At this moment, Shuigao was still lying on the ground, gasping for breath. He Yu heavily kicked him out of the room, and the two of them rushed out of the room with killing intent. They went to the address Shuigao had given them to find Tian Souring. Chapter 955. Shuigao grunted as he held on to his stomach where he had been kicked. He looked up at the back of the two men and felt depressed. These two masters were really thirsty. From the looks of it, Tian Souring would not be able to keep her. Even Su Chuxia would be raped by them. Sigh, what bad luck. If he had known this would happen, he would not have asked for their help. Now, he had suffered a double loss. Not only did he not get Su Chuxia, but he also almost lost his life. Jingji District, Su Chuxia's house. The two of them were packing their things and preparing to leave for school. "Sour, have you finished packing up your stuff yet?" "Don't be confused again," Su Chuxia asked casually as she packed. "I'm done. Sister Souring is not that forgetful." Tian Souring took the large bottle of shampoo and shower gel and threw it into her bag. She zipped it up and felt that it was a little heavy, so she grumbled, "Sigh, it's so inconvenient to not have a man at home. When Xiao Chang was around, I could help carry some stuff. Now, Sister Souring has to rely on herself. She's almost like a goddess." Su Chuxia smiled. Just as she was about to tease Tian Souring, there was a heavy and urgent knock on the door. Knock, knock, knock. Tian Souring was shocked. Why would someone come to their house so early in the morning? Could it be to check the water meter? There was no water meter in the house. Su Chuxia was standing further away from the door. She wanted to open the door when she saw Tian Souring not moving. However, Tian Suruan gestured at her to stop her. She could only stand at the door with a puzzled expression. Knock, knock, knock. The person did not say a word and continued to knock on the door. Tian Suruan's expression changed. She gritted her teeth and walked to the door cautiously. She looked out through the peephole. Two familiar faces entered his line of sight, Bai Qi and He Yu. Both of them looked very ferocious, as if they were going to eat her alive. Chuxia, bad news. The two bad guys from the Jia family are here. Tian Suruan's legs turned to jelly. She pulled on Su Chuxia's sleeve and said anxiously, "What should I do? How did they find this place? Chuxia, help me think of something." I don't know. Su Chuxia was a little nervous when she saw Tian Suruan's panicked expression. She thought for a moment and said, "Why don't we pretend that we're not at home? Maybe they thought there was no one in the house and left after a while." Before Tian Sourshu could reply, an angry roar came from outside. "Tang Sour Horn. Hurry up and open the door. I know you're hiding inside. Don't try to play dumb in front of me. You won't be able to escape today. If you don't open the door, we'll break in," Bai Qi said as he kicked the door. The steel door immediately caved in. If he hadn't been afraid that things would get out of hand, he would have broken the door directly. But after all, he was a member of the internal martial arts circle, so he had to be cautious. "Chuxia, what should we do? They were going to break the door. How about we jump out of the window? Sister Sour doesn't want to be caught." Tian Soran stomped his feet anxiously. He couldn't care less anymore. He rushed to the balcony, opened the window, and wanted to jump down. Sour, are you crazy? We live on the 15th floor. If you jump down like this, won't you fall into pieces? Su Chuxia jumped in fright. She quickly ran over and hugged Tian Souring. She dragged her inside, afraid that Tian Souring would slip and fall down. "Then what should we do? We can't contact Xiao Cheng now. Instead of being caught, we might as well fall to our deaths." Tian Soran squatted on the windowsill and said with a sobbing tone. Su Chuxia frowned. Suddenly, she had a flash of inspiration. She said, "Right, didn't Xiao Cheng say that we can ask Nie Xiaoyu for help if we encounter any trouble? Hurry up and send her a message. Maybe she can deal with those two fellows." Oh, that's right. I forgot about the ghost Nie Xiaoyu. I'll send her a message right now. Let her come over and scare those two bastards to death." Tian Soran was overjoyed. She carefully jumped down from the windowsill and immediately took out her phone to send a message to Nie Xiaoyu. Then, she looked at the door and anxiously waited for her reply. Fortunately, not long after, Nie Xiaoyu replied that she would bring an expert over to help. Tian Soran heaved a sigh of relief. F***ck, you still won't open the door, right? Don't blame us for being rude. Bai Qi waited at the door for a while longer. When no one opened the door, he grew impatient. He was afraid that Tian Soran would take the opportunity to escape, so he slammed his palm on the door. Bam! A loud sound rang out. The steel door shattered into pieces. He Yu and Bai Qi rushed in angrily. They immediately saw Tian Soran and Su Chuxia hiding in the corner. "Ha ha ha. Tang Soran, you're really hiding here. Looks like that kid didn't lie to us." Seeing Tian Soran trembling in fear, Bai Qi smiled evilly and said, "All right, stop hiding. Follow us back to the Jia clan obediently. Young master is still waiting to marry you. Don't come any closer. Sister Soran would rather die than go back with you." Tian Soran quickly ran to the window and glared at Bai Qi and He Yu. He grabbed the edge of the windowsill and bluffed, "If you dare to come any closer, I'll jump down from here immediately." "Haha. Do you think you're as fast as us? If I wanted to catch you, it would be a piece of cake. Io, F***ck me." Bai Qi laughed coldly. His body moved abruptly as he charged towards Tian Wangchuan. However, before he could finish his sentence, he slammed into a wall for no reason. He saw stars and even had a nosebleed. Bai Qi rubbed his nose. He was very confused. What was going on? He had clearly seen the door clearly before he dashed in. How did he slam into a wall? This mistake was too low level. Be careful, there's something strange in this room. Hey, you said in a low voice as he scanned the room cautiously. Ever since he entered, he felt that the entire room was eerie. There was something indescribably strange about it. What's so strange about it? It's just an ordinary house. Bai Qi wiped his nosebleed and turned to look at He Yu. The next moment, he was shocked by what he saw. There's something on your back. It looks like a ghost. Bai Qi stretched out his hand and pointed at He Yu's shoulder in horror. Bai Qi saw a black figure with disheveled hair and ragged clothes sitting on He Yu's shoulder. What looked like a face had two eyes glowing with green light, staring at him with a faint smile, but He Yu didn't feel anything at all. What nonsense are you talking about? Where's the ghost? Are you dreaming? He Yu naturally did not believe it. Just as he was about to scold Bai Qi, he saw a woman with a pale face appear behind him. He was so shocked that he shivered and immediately changed his words. Damn! There's a female ghost behind you. Chapter 956. F***CK. Bai Qi turned his head cautiously and saw the horrifying face. Scared out of his wits, he immediately circulated his mental cultivation method and slammed his palm at the female ghost. Bam! A muffled sound was heard. Bai Qi's palm missed its target. It passed through the female ghost's body and slammed into the wall behind her, creating a big hole. He, ignorant junior, how dare you cause trouble in my territory? Since you're here, leave your life behind. Old ghost Shishan, who was lying on He Yu's body, sneered. His body was surrounded by layers of black mist. Suddenly, he moved and swept towards Bai Qi. Nia Xiaoyu took advantage of Bai Qi's dazed state and rushed forward with a palm strike. She had rushed over with old ghost Shishan after receiving Tian Souring's call for help. However, when they saw He Yu and Bai Qi breaking through the door, they realized that these two opponents were not weak. The two ghosts decided to first scare them, then think of a way to attack when they were unprepared. After all, old ghost Shishan was not very strong. His cultivation was only equivalent to the peak of level 1 martial general. Nia Xiaoyu, on the other hand, had only reached the peak of level 3 martial master. If she faced Bai Qi and He Yu head-on, she had no chance of winning. She could only think of ways to use dirty tricks and sneak attacks. You're not ghosts? The moment old ghost Shishan rushed over, He Yu was stunned. When he saw his move clearly, he quickly reminded him, Junior brother Bai, don't be afraid. They're just ghost cultivators. Dodge quickly. Bam! Boom! Unfortunately, He Yu's warning came a little too late. Bai Qi's movements were sluggish after the shock. Caught off guard, he was first hit by old ghost of West Mountain's black fog, and then Nia Xiaoyu slapped him hard on the back. He was directly blown away and crashed heavily on the sofa, making a loud noise. Old ghost Shishan and Nia Xiaoyu had also used up most of their yin qi after the two palm strikes. They could only hide at the side and make the best use of their time to recover. Seeing this, He Yu ran over and helped Bai Yu up. He found that Bai Yu's eyes were closed and there was a black mist between his eyebrows. He immediately took out a pill and fed it to Bai Yu. Then, he pressed his palms against Bai Yu's back and used his mental cultivation method to force the yin qi out of Bai Yu's body. Pooh! After being stimulated by the mental cultivation method, Bai Qi spat out a mouthful of black blood. His breathing became smoother as well. Slowly, he opened his eyes and said with a hoarse voice, Senior brother He, they are yin cultivators, not ghosts. I already know. It's fine. Sit down and heal first. I'll deal with them. He Yu comforted her and then stood up, revealing his cultivation at the peak of level 5 Martial General. He stared at old ghost Shishan and Nye Xiaoyu who were meditating and coldly said, "You two, come at me together. Stop wasting my time. You're at the peak of level 5 General." Nye Xiaoyu was stunned. Because Bai Qi had attacked the door with his palm, they could tell that he was at the peak of level 4 General. That was why they had chosen to focus their attacks on Bai Qi. Just this one was already very troublesome, but he did not expect He Yu's strength to be even higher. Nye Xiaoyu looked at old ghost West Mountain in horror. "Senior Ghost, what should we do now? What can I do?" Old ghost West Mountain also had a bitter look on his face. Ever since he followed Xiao Chen's instructions and gave all the yin qi and cultivation resources to Nye Xiaoyu, his strength had been increasing extremely slowly. He was also helpless against Bai Qi and He Yu. But we can't just watch Miss Soury get taken away. Nye Xiaoyu had also heard Bai Qi's threat and could empathize with Tian Soury's situation. Old Ghost West Mountain thought about it and felt that he could only rely on the advantage of being a yin cultivator to deal with He Yu. Having made up his mind, he said in a deep voice, "I'll hold this guy back first. You think of a way to deal with the injured one, then we'll work together." "Okay." Nye Xiaoyu had already lost her composure. Hearing old ghost West Mountain's words, she immediately nodded and flew toward Bai Qi. Old ghost West Mountain sighed. Although he knew that his chances of winning were not high, he had no way out now. He could only circulate his mental cultivation method and gather black mist between his arms. Then, he slammed his palm toward He Yu's chest. "Humph. You're overestimating yourself." He Yu sneered. Without any hesitation, he rushed forward and fought with old ghost West Mountain. Although Bai Qi was injured and his strength was greatly reduced, he still resisted Nye Xiaoyu's attack. Now that he knew that his opponent was a yin cultivator, he was no longer afraid. Therefore, the more he fought, the easier it was for him to deal with Nye Xiaoyu. Su Chuxia and Tian Soury saw the four of them fighting, black mist and energy flying everywhere. However, they could also see that not only were Nye Xiaoyu and old ghost West Mountain unable to gain any advantage, they were gradually falling into a disadvantageous position. However, from time to time, they would use some unique moves to confuse Bai Qi and He Yu. That was how they managed to hold on. Tian Soury and Su Chuxia's hearts were racing. It seemed that they were in danger. Glancing at the bare windowsill and the matchbox-sized vehicle on the ground, Tian Soury could not muster up the courage to jump down. After hesitating for a while, she braced herself and tried to send a message to Xiao Chang. However, she did not have much hope in her heart. Ever since Xiao Chang disappeared, Tian Soury and Su Chuxia had not replied to his messages. He did not know where they went. At this time, in the Lanqing University Martial Arts Club, Xiao Chen, Qing Menjing, and Ling Qinxue were busy helping the newcomers register. The number of people who came to register increased rapidly. They had been busy the whole afternoon yesterday, but they still could not finish the registration. This morning, they came again to continue. Everyone was so busy that even Miss Xing was called over to help. Miss Xing was originally too lazy to do such a boring thing. However, she wanted to observe Xiao Yi up close, so she reluctantly came over. Otherwise, it would be boring to cultivate alone. Xiao Chen, who was busy, suddenly felt his phone vibrate. He took it out and looked at it. Ever since he started escaping, he had stopped replying to WeChat messages. However, the program was still running in the background. "Hubby. Sister Soury is going to be taken away. Come to Chuxia's house and save me." Seeing Tian Soury's message on the screen, Xiao Chen was shocked. He did not think that Tian Soury was playing a prank. After all, he knew that the two experts from the Jia family were indeed looking for her. However, how did they know Tian Soury's whereabouts? Moreover, they even found Su Chuxia's residence. Did someone snitch on them? Not daring to delay any further, Xiao Chen turned around and whispered to Jia Muzhen, "The Jia family should have found Tian Soury. Why don't you go with me? Let's see if we can deal with them." Ah. Jia Musen was stunned at first, but then he nodded. He did not think too much about it. Although he did not want to get involved in the family's affairs, Tian Saori was still considered his good friend. Now that his friend was in trouble, he should help no matter what. Chapter 957. Then let's go. Xiao Chen was anxious. Now that Jia Musen agreed, he wanted to leave. Wait. Jia Musen said, I need to go back to the dormitory with my token. Otherwise, those two might not recognize me. That's fine. Qing Yaoyao and I will go first. It's in the neighborhood from yesterday. Hurry over. Xiao Chen nodded and explained to Dong Zhiqi. Then, he ran to find Xing Menjing. Jia Musen didn't hesitate. He handed his work to another club member and ran out in a hurry. He accidentally bumped into Ling Qinxue. Ling Qinxue exclaimed and looked at Jia Musen strangely. Why are you so flustered? I'm sorry. Jia Musen said apologetically. Xiao Yi said that Tian Suruan is in danger and he needs to go help. That's why I want to go and take a look. Jia Musen thought that Ling Qinxue was already Xiao Yi's woman, so he didn't hide it and told her the situation. I see. Then hurry up. Ling Qinxue waved her hand and looked at Jia Musen's back. She frowned. Tian Suruan is in danger? Little Miss Xing happened to be busy at the side. She heard Jia Musen's words without missing a single word. She was immediately overjoyed. Xiao Yi is going to help. Help with what? Why would he help Tian Suruan? This is an important clue. Qinxue. Let's go and take a look. I've been waiting for this rare opportunity. Little girl Xing grabbed Ling Qinxue and dragged her in the direction that Jia Musen had left. Ling Qinxue was stunned. She knew this was bad. This time, they were really done for. Jia Musen must have let his mouth slip, and that last Xing heard it. But she had no other choice. She could only follow. She couldn't go against Xing Qinxue's wishes, could she? The two of them hurriedly walked out of the martial arts club's side door and happened to see Xiao Chen carrying Qing Menjing into the air. They stepped on their flying swords and flew in the direction of Su Chusha's house. Qinxue, look. He's definitely Xiao Chen. Let's go. Hurry up and catch up. I want to see how he's going to deny it this time. Seeing this scene, Miss Xing couldn't help but be extremely shocked. She dragged Ling Qinxue and chased after him towards the school gate. Just outside the school gate, she just happened to see Jia Musen hailing a taxi. She rushed up like an arrow, directly pulled open the back door, sat in, and pulled Ling Qinxue up. Let's go. Let's go. As soon as he sat down, Miss Xing slapped the back of the seat and shouted. The driver was so scared that he trembled. He stepped on the accelerator and sped off like an arrow. Jia Musen first gave the driver Su Chusha's address, then glanced behind him in confusion. It made sense if Ling Xiaoxue was going with him, but why was Xing Gongzi rushing over as well? What did he want to do? However, seeing his aggressive appearance, Jia Musen didn't dare to ask anything. He could only speculate in his heart. Could it be that he wants to see Xiao Yi make a fool of himself and then take Ling Xiaoxue back? It seemed like this was the only possibility. Ling Qinxue was extremely depressed. She wanted to find time to send a message to Xiao Chen, but Miss Xing was closely following her. She didn't even have a chance to take out her phone. Helpless, she could only give up. When the time came, she would just take it one step at a time. In Su Chusha's house in Jingji district, Shishan Ghost, who had been bitterly holding on for half an hour, was gradually showing signs of weakness under He Yu's fierce attacks. On the other side, Nye Xiaoyu was already injured. However, Bai Qi didn't follow up with another attack. Firstly, Nye Xiaoyu seemed to have gone crazy, holding a stance of fighting to the death. Secondly, he was still injured and couldn't fight for long. Anyway, He Yu alone was enough to kill these two weak Yin cultivators. Bai Qi didn't intend to go too far, so he simply sat down and continued to heal his injuries. Chusha, Sister Sour is so pitiful. It's already so dangerous now, but Xiao Chang still hasn't come to save me. It seems like he has a new lover and won't return to Sister Sour's side. Sigh. Tian Sour sighed heavily and said with incomparable melancholy. Originally, she still had a glimmer of hope in her heart, hoping that Xiao Chang would descend from the sky to save her. Even if he couldn't come in time, at least he could reply. In the end, nothing happened. It's already such a critical moment, and you're still thinking about useless things. Maybe he's on a mission and can't turn on his phone? Su Chusha didn't know whether to laugh or cry. She glared at her and said exasperatedly, "You clearly had a chance just now, why didn't you run away?" "Why should I run?" Sister Sour was so scared that her legs turned to jelly. She couldn't even stand up. Besides, the monk can run away, but the temple can't run away. They can even find out where you live, so where else can I run to? Tian Sour said helplessly. Then what should we do now? Su Chusha was also at a loss for words. Forget it, Sister Sour should just bite her tongue and commit suicide. It's too ugly a way to die by jumping off a building. Moreover, we'll be surrounded by people. Who knows, it might even become the headline on Weibo or WeChat moments. Sister Sour can't afford to be embarrassed like that. Tian Sour looked out of the window again, then quickly retracted her head and muttered to herself. Hearing Tian Sour's strange thoughts, Su Chusha was instantly speechless. However, she was also quite annoyed. Sour was her best friend, but now that she was in danger, there was nothing she could do. All she could do was watch as others took her away. And that Xiao Chang, really? Tian Suruan was his girlfriend after all. Now that they were in danger, he actually didn't even reply to her message. Could it be that he really fell in love with someone else? But, he didn't seem like that kind of person. Ah. Just as the two ladies were deep in thought, old ghost Shishan suddenly let out a scream. It turned out that he had made a mistake and was hit in the shoulder by Heiyu. He was sent flying and smashed into the wall. His internal organs were all shaken. Fortunately, he was still breathing and did not die immediately. Humph. You're just a small Een cultivator. How dare you go against the inner martial arts sect? You're simply asking for death. Heiyu snorted lightly and looked at old ghost Shishan disdainfully. He then turned around and went to find Tian Sour. You. Old ghost Shishan struggled for a while, but he could not stand up. Nye Xiaoyu, who was also seriously injured and lying on the ground, was also helpless. Staring at Tian Sour who was in the corner, Heiyu said sinisterly, "Tang Sour Horn, stop resisting pointlessly. Be obedient and follow us back to the Jia family. You. Don't come over. Sister Sour's boyfriend will be here soon. He's very powerful. He can fight more than 10 of you by himself. If you dare to touch a single hair on Sister Sour's head, he will definitely not let you off." Tian Sour curled up in Su Chusha's arms. Although he was very afraid, he still bit his lip and bluffed. Chapter 958. Heiyu suddenly reached out and plucked Tian Sour's hair. He placed it on his index finger and blew it away. Then, he smirked. "What did you just say? You pervert. Men and women shouldn't touch each other. Who gave you permission to pluck my hair?" Tian Sour immediately covered her head and grumbled. Heiyu snorted at Tian Sour's childishness. He pointed at Su Chusha and smiled wickedly. "Tang Sour Horn, let me tell you. Not only will I pluck your hair, but I'll also make your friend happy with us. Think of it as compensation for Junior Bai's injury. Ha ha ha. You're shameless." Su Chusha was infuriated. She clenched her fists and wanted to say something back, but after a long while, she could only force out one word. She turned her head to the side to avoid Heiyu's perverted gaze. However, to Su Chusha's surprise, when she tilted her head to look out the window, she saw a black dot in the sky. It was getting bigger and bigger, and it seemed to be flying towards her at a very fast speed. Sour, get out of the way. Something's flying towards us. Su Chuxia didn't have time to think. She quickly pulled Tian Sour away from the window and shielded her and her head with her hands. Don't play dumb. Do you think I'll be scared by such a childish lie? Hey, you thought that Su Chuxia was playing tricks on him. He sneered and walked toward the two of them unhurriedly. When he got close, Hey Yu reached out to grab her. Tian Sour was at her wit's end. She could only close her eyes and shrink back, praying for a miracle. Bam! There was a loud noise. A black figure suddenly flew through the window. Before Hey Yu could grab Tian Sour, he was sent flying and landed heavily on the ground. Tian Wangshuo waited for a long time, but there was no movement. He couldn't help but open his eyes a little and saw that Hey Yu had fallen to the ground. Not far away stood two familiar figures. It was Xiao Yi and Cheng Yao Yao. Her mouth fell open in shock. Holy sh*t, why is Counterattack Man here? You can actually fly? It's too magical. Xiao Chen ignored Tian Sour's yelling. He first put away his flying sword and ran over to check on Nye Xiaoyu and old ghost Shishan's injuries. Both of them were seriously injured, so Xiao Chen immediately injected primordial qi to heal them. Who do you think you are? Don't be a busybody. Looks like you're also a cultivator, right? Let me tell you, we are from the Jia family of the internal Wulin. Are you afraid? Scram if you don't want to die. Although Hey Yu was hit just now, with his strength, it was not a big deal. He quickly stood up, glared at Xiao Chen and threatened him fiercely. Hey Yu was a little puzzled. How did these two people fly in through the window? Could it be that they were experts from the secular world? He often appeared in the inner martial arts world and had a lot of contact with the disciples of various sects, but the faces of the two people in front of him were extremely unfamiliar. Besides, this was a 15-story building. Normal people should enter from the main entrance. Wasn't the way these two people appeared too shocking? Hey Yu thought for a moment. Even with his cultivation, he might not be able to fly into the 15th floor. The cultivation of the two people in front of him should not be low. That was why he did not attack them immediately. Instead, he chose to introduce himself to test them. Bai Qi also opened his eyes. Although he had not fully recovered, seeing that the situation in front of him was not right, he did not dare to adjust his breath and quickly stood beside Hey Yu. Afraid of your grandma's leg? The two of you are here to die, aren't you? Xiao Chen glanced at Hey Yu and Bai Qi, and sneered coldly, Tian Sour is my wife. I don't care where you are from. If you know what's good for you, hurry up and go back to the inner martial arts world, and we will forget about this matter. Otherwise, believe it or not, I will beat you up until you beg for mercy. What the f***ck, when did this counterattack man become so awesome? Tian Sour tilted her head and looked at Xiao Chen. She secretly muttered, but when did Sister Sour become your wife? Why didn't I know? Although she felt that Xiao Yi was quite handsome when he broke through the window, she was still a little unhappy. How could a toad want to eat a swan's meat? Sister Sour has a boyfriend, okay? Su Chuxia glared at Tian Sour and said angrily, Sour, when did you become so stupid? You still can't tell? This person is your Xiao Chang. Why can't you even recognize his voice? When Xiao Yi broke through the window, Su Chuxia was a little surprised. How could an ordinary person have such strength? Later, Su Chuxia saw him directly run to save Nye Xiaoyu and Shishan Old Ghost. The two of them were also very respectful to Xiao Yi. When she heard his voice and thought of Xiao Yi's surname, Su Chuxia immediately understood. Ah! Tian Sour exclaimed. Only then did she realize that Xiao Yi's voice was so familiar. It turned out that he was Xiao Chang. He was Sister Sour's real boyfriend. But why did he change into such a loser's mask? Didn't he look quite good before? Tian Sour turned around and saw Qing Menjing standing at the side. She couldn't help but touch her face and say, "Then why is Xiao Chang with Qing Yaoyao? She's so ugly. She's far inferior to Sister Sour." Do you know how to speak? We came all the way here to save you. It's fine if you're not grateful, but you actually said that I'm ugly? Qing Menjing heard Tian Sour's words and was extremely angry. Seeing that Xiao Chen didn't hide it anymore, she decided to return to her original appearance. However, because Qing Menjing was too angry and her emotions were fluctuating intensely, she failed to control her primordial qi the moment she withdrew the illusion. A portion of her primordial qi leaked out, revealing a cultivation that was equivalent to a 6th-layer devil general. He Yu and Bai Qi were instantly shocked. He Yu swept away his arrogant attitude and stuttered, "You're actually a stage 6 devil general." He was very surprised. Although his strength was similar to the other parties, he didn't dare to act rashly. After all, he didn't know how strong that man was. Bai Qi and He Yu looked at each other and carefully probed, Where did you come from? Could it be that you're also disciples of the inner pugilistic world? Stop talking nonsense. Are you guys going to scram or not? Do you want me to send you on your way? I might as well send you to heaven for free." Xiao Chen stood up and said impatiently after he finished healing Nies Xiaoyu and old ghost Shishan. From the looks of it, these two fools would not shed tears until they saw their coffins. Xiao Chen already had the intention to kill them. He was thinking of killing them directly to prevent any more trouble from arising from the long night. Chapter 959. Just as Xiao Chen was about to make his move, a few figures hurriedly ran in from outside. It was Jia Muzhen, Ling Qinxue, and little Miss Xing. They had hailed a taxi, and their speed was incomparable to the flying sword, so they arrived a little late. The moment little Miss Xing stepped through the door, she saw Qing Menjing standing not too far away. She immediately understood that Xiao Yi was definitely Xiao Chen. However, even though she had confirmed the situation, she did not intend to participate in this matter. She only stood at the side and watched coldly. Ling Qinxue, on the other hand, stood beside Xing Nianxue and looked at Xiao Chen anxiously. She wanted to tell him that Xing Nianxue had already discovered his true identity, but Xiao Chen gave her a reassuring look, telling her not to worry. "You two, stop. Who allowed you to come to the secular world to cause trouble? You've turned a deaf ear to the agreement of the internal martial arts circle, haven't you? We agreed that you could not enter and leave the secular world as you please, and that you could not attack ordinary people. Have you forgotten?" Jia Muzhen did not hesitate as he strode forward, pointed at He Yu and Bai Qi, and reprimanded them. "Who are you? How dare you make such a big fuss here? Do you know who we are?" He Yu did not hesitate as he stared at Jia Muzhen and asked. Looking at his loser appearance, he was probably an errand boy of the martial arts world. He was definitely here to play the hero and save the damsel in distress. "I am the young master of the Jia family, Jia Muzhen. This is my identity jade card. Open your dog eyes and look clearly." Jia Muzhen immediately showed his identity jade card and said with a solemn expression. "Jia Muzhen? Ha ha ha. So what? We are young Master Huiyan's men." He Yu and Bai Qi were stunned at first, then they laughed together. It seemed that they did not put Jia Muzhen in their eyes at all. From their point of view, young Master Huiyan was the true successor of the Jia clan. He was the rightful young master of the Jia clan. Jia Muzhen was just a branch descendant without any power or influence. He would never amount to anything. Jia Muzhen didn't expect the two of them to be so arrogant. He naturally knew that Tang Xuanjiao was Jia Huiyan's fiancée. However, the two of them were Jia Huiyan's subordinates, yet they didn't know how to differentiate between superiors and inferiors. They didn't place him, the Jia family's young master, in their eyes at all. Jia Muzhen couldn't help feeling somewhat angry. "As the Jia family's young master, I order you to step down. Don't be presumptuous here." Actually, Jia Muzhen did not want to make things too difficult for He Yu and Bai Qi. From his point of view, as long as he could stall for a while and let Tian Suruan escape, it would be fine. As for whether the family members that came later would listen to him or not, it did not matter. He. The young master of the Jia family? What kind of bullshit young master are you? After this year's clans tournament, our young master Huiyan will become the true young master of the Jia clan. Who the hell do you think you are? How dare you order us around? Hey, you sneered and snorted disdainfully. This Jia Muzan was merely a fringe descendant of the Jia clan. Sooner or later, he would be trampled under young master Huiyan's feet. Hey, you and Bai Qi had a strong backing, so they naturally treated him like transparent air. You. Jia Muzan was so angry that he clenched his teeth and clenched his fists. He coldly snorted and said, "Humph. Don't think that I don't know that without the help of the Tang clan's experts, Jia Huiyan's strength is nothing. Relying on others to grind points in the clan's tournament, what kind of ability is that? If you have the ability, then let him come out and fight fair and square." Speaking of this matter, Jia Muzan felt indignant from the bottom of his heart. Originally, with his solid cultivation and strength, he would definitely be able to obtain an outstanding result in the clan's tournament. Although he was a fringe descendant, he still had the qualifications to compete for the position of Jia clan elder. In the end, because he did not have a good relationship with Jia Huiyan, he was ridiculed, and humiliated in every possible way. In a fit of anger, he left the Jia clan and wandered off to the secular world. In the end, even Jia Huiyan's subordinates dared to look down on him. This was simply intolerable bullying. Idiot, I think you've become stupid from studying too much, right? For a clan to prosper, the patriarch does not necessarily need to be very powerful. The key is to rely on connections, understand? If you have the ability, then go and find an external helper. TSK, no wonder you could only be ostracized and run away from home, while our young master Huiyan was able to rush to the top in the clan's tournament. This is strength, understand? Idiot. Bai Qi mocked and ridiculed. You, humph. Fawning on those in power, shameless scum. Jia Muzan was so angry that his chest heaved up and down. Bai Qi's words just happened to poke at his sore spot. For a moment, he did not know how to refute. His parents had passed away early, and he had always been in a marginal position in the Jia clan. Where could he find external helper? Wasn't Jia Huiyan's external helper also found by his parents and elders? Xiao Chen had been quietly watching from the side. He finally understood Jia Muzan's experiences. It seemed that this brat was quite unlucky. Although he had the strength of a 10th layer martial general, he was ostracized by the direct descendants. No wonder he had fallen to the point where he ran to the secular world to study and refused to go back no matter what. Jia Muzan, do these two people have a grudge against you? Xiao Chen glanced at Jia Muzan and saw him nod his head helplessly. Xiao Chen then played down the situation and said, since that's the case, then they can go die. Menjing, kill them. There's no point in keeping them. Cheng Menjing glared at Xiao Chen, but did not move. This fellow spoke so easily. Could it be that he did not know that after accidentally killing someone in the karate dojo, he already had a shadow in his heart? He actually dared to order her to kill someone. How could he be so lacking in morals? That Xing chick, you go kill them. Feeling Cheng Menjing's murderous gaze, Xiao Chen couldn't help but shrink back. He immediately became timid and turned around to order Xing chick. Humph. Xing chick snorted and glanced at him. She also did not move. She still crossed her arms in front of her chest and lazily stood there watching the show. It seemed that she did not listen to Xiao Chen's words at all. Ling Qinxue, who was standing behind Xing chick, was a bit puzzled. She was originally quite nervous, afraid that young Master Xing would make things difficult for Xiao Chen. However, it didn't seem like that was the case. Also, why could Xiao Chen so casually order young Master Xing around? Could it be that there was some sort of agreement between them? Or could it be that young Master Xing had been blackmailed by Xiao Chen, so Xiao Chen could use it to threaten him? He Yu and Bai Qi looked left and right. Their originally arrogant expressions became a bit confused. What was going on? This guy seemed to be bossy, but why did no one seem to care about him? Could it be that he was another pretentious prick? AI. Forget it, let me do it. Really, even an expert like me doesn't want to fight these weaklings. Even if I beat them up, it won't give me any experience. What a waste of energy. Xiao Chen hit a wall on both sides and could only helplessly shake his head. He casually waved his hand, and the flying sword that was originally lying under his feet suddenly floated up and shot towards He Yu and Bai Qi. Chapter 960. When the two of them saw a bright light flying over, they didn't pay much attention to it. They thought that Xiao Chen was just acting. He probably used a hidden weapon like a dart or a dagger to intimidate them, so they didn't think much of it. Just as He Yu and Bai Qi were about to use their mental cultivation to dodge, they were shocked to find that their bodies had been locked on by an extremely powerful aura. They couldn't move even if they wanted to. They could only stare at the flying sword that was emitting a bright light as it flew closer quickly. Whoosh! Whoosh! The sound of breaking through the air could be heard. The flying sword directly pierced through He Yu and Bai Qi's hearts. They didn't even have time to scream before they fell straight to the ground. Blood kept flowing out of their chests. Their faces were still filled with shock and fear, but their bodies were motionless. They were obviously dead. Ah! You killed them. Jia Muzhen was shocked. He looked at the two bodies on the ground, then looked at Xiao Chen, who had an indifferent expression after killing them. He stuttered and couldn't even speak clearly. Yeah, I killed them. Since they weren't with you, it doesn't matter if they're dead. Xiao Chen shrugged. He looked left and right with the flying sword and said indifferently. It was just killing two idiots. Xiao Chen didn't care at all. Anyway, he didn't need to hide anything anymore. Furthermore, with his strength at the peak of the 9th level of the Golden Core stage, even if he confronted Qixing head-on, there was nothing to worry about. 7th level of the Demon King. You're actually at the peak of the 7th level of the Demon King? A shocked voice sounded. Qixing stared at Xiao Chen in disbelief. Because Xiao Chen's attack was too fast and his cultivation was immediately released, Qixing couldn't specifically judge his strength. However, just based on the aura emitted by the flying sword, he was at least at the peak of the 7th level of the Demon King. Or even higher. Qixing's mind was already in a mess. When she fought with Xiao Chen previously, Xiao Chen was only at the 2nd level of the Demon King. After not seeing him for a few months, he had actually advanced to the peak of the 7th level of the Demon King. How is this possible? It was like riding a rocket. No, it was like leveling up at the speed of light. One couldn't blame Miss Xing for looking at Xiao Chen as if he was an alien. It must be known that for an expert at the level of a Demon King, every advancement was as difficult as ascending to the heavens. They would often be stuck at a certain level, unable to advance for 10 or 20 years. Even though little Qixing was also an expert at the 10th level of the great perfection of the Demon King realm, that was because she was known as a genius girl. She had spent more than 10 years cultivating with countless treasures of heaven and earth. She paid no attention to the affairs of the world and immersed herself in hard training. She had taken one step at a time. Hence, when Miss Xing saw how Xiao Chen had risen to such a high level in just a few months, she couldn't understand his method of leveling up. Oh, right, you're here. Xiao Chen acted as if he had just noticed Xing Lasa's existence. He smiled and said, "Let me ask you, why hasn't Ma Baiji come to find me yet? Hurry up and ask him to come over. I'll show him how a dragonfly flies. No, it's a centipede flies. I'll make him fly down from the 15th floor." You. Little Qixing was instantly speechless. She was a little annoyed in her heart. This guy is really a villain. Isn't he just at the peak of the 7th level of the Demon King realm? I thought he was amazing. Xiao Chen smacked his lips and said with a face full of regret, "You should ask him to be quick." I've never seen a centipede fly in my entire life. Little Chick Xing was so angry that she directly turned her face away. She didn't want to see Xiao Chen's proud face. However, when she turned her head, she saw Nye Xiaoyu and Shishan Old Ghost sitting there adjusting their breath. It seemed like they were also Xiao Chen's partners. This time, little Chick Xing was even more surprised. She didn't expect Xiao Chen to actually cooperate with a ghost cultivator. She suddenly became alert in her heart. No way. I have to quickly report to the sect. Xiao Chen is too dangerous. Keeping him around will be a problem in the future. Thinking up to this point, little Chick Xing turned around and quickly left Su Chuxia's house to report to the sect. However, she didn't call Ling Qinxue again. From little Chick Xing's point of view, Ling Qinxue had already lost her value. There was no need to bring her along anymore. Looking at little Chick Xing's departing figure, Ling Qinxue hesitated for a while. In the end, she didn't follow. At this time, Tian Souring finally reacted. She suddenly jumped up and screamed, "Wah wah wah! You damn counterattack! Damn Xiao Chang, you've been lurking around Sister Souring all this time. Why didn't you appear? You made me worry about you every day. You saved Sister Souring again. That's great." As she screamed, Tian Souring rushed over and suddenly hugged Xiao Chen. She buried her entire head into his chest and kept rubbing back and forth. "Damn! Xiao Yi, you're really awesome." He actually managed to turn the tables on Tian Sourshu. "You're really awesome." Seeing this scene, Jia Muzin couldn't help but widen his eyes. He gave Xiao Chen a thumbs up and said with a face full of envy. Actually, in the inner martial world, those sect masters or family heads basically had 3 or 4 wives. Jia Muzin didn't think much of it. After all, Xiao Yi's strength was obvious. But the key was that Xiao Yi's girlfriends were of high quality. Looking at this room, there was the delicate and cute Qing Menjing, the shy and reserved Ling Qinxue, the sexy and hot Tian Souring. Spring orchids and autumn chrysanthemums all had their own characteristics. No matter which one of them was picked out, they could all reach the level of the school belle. This was what Jia Muzin found the most inconceivable. Cough cough. When Qing Menjing saw that Tian Souring actually took the initiative to pounce on Xiao Chen, she felt a little embarrassed. She glared fiercely at Xiao Chen. "Can't you see that your fiancé is still here? Xiao Chen, you should at least pay attention to your image. Can't you wait until there's no one else to show off your affection?" It's okay." Xiao Chen's head was covered in a waterfall of sweat. He looked at Jia Muzin speechlessly. This guy doesn't know how to look at the situation when he speaks. Qing Menjing is already spewing fire, but he still adds oil to the fire. He doesn't intend to let me live. Ah. Yao Yao, I'm sorry. Tian Souring finally came back to her senses. She raised her head from Xiao Chen's embrace and realized that Qing Menjing was looking at her coldly. She was instantly shocked and quickly left Xiao Chen's embrace. Her expression was a little bashful as she said awkwardly, "That. I was too excited just now, and I couldn't control myself." "You are Xiao Chang's real girlfriend, right?" "Of course not," Qing Menjing said snappily. Tian Souring was stunned. Before she could react, she heard Qing Menjing continue, "I am his wife." Ah. Tian Souring was stunned. She was even more afraid in her heart. She didn't have her usual carefree attitude. Instead, she carefully explained, "Actually, there's nothing between Xiao Chang and me. We were just playing around in the past. That's why I asked him to pretend to be my boyfriend. Please don't mind him." Chapter 961. Qing Menjing didn't say anything else after seeing how submissive Tian Souring was. Originally, she was indeed a little angry, but seeing Tian Souring's humble attitude and the fact that he had just experienced a thrilling experience, Qing Menjing's heart softened. She didn't care and said lightly, "It's okay, I'm not angry." Let's clean up the room first. It's a mess everywhere, and there are 2 dead people lying on the ground. It's quite unlucky. Seeing that Qing Menjing didn't mind, Xiao Chen was touched. He quickly changed the topic and started to clean up. Su Chusha walked over and wanted to help, but Xiao Chen stopped her and said in a low voice, Chusha, go and accompany Suruan. I think she's still scared. You should comfort her. Seeing Tian Suruan standing at the side pitifully, Su Chusha's heart ached. She nodded and went to comfort Tian Suruan. Although Jia Muzin had a lot of questions in his heart, he didn't ask them immediately. Instead, he helped Ling Qinxue clean up the mess. After Nie Xiaoyu and old ghost Shishan finished adjusting their breathing, they got up and walked to Xiao Chen. Thanks to Xiao Chen's primordial qi, their injuries were basically healed. Seeing that the matter was over, they were ready to leave and continue their cultivation. Xiaoyu, old tortoise, thank you for your help today. If there are suitable cultivation resources in the future, I'll inform you immediately. Xiao Chen didn't ask them to stay. The 2 Yin cultivators consumed a lot of Yin qi during the day, so it was better to let them go. Of course, this was not important. After Nie Xiaoyu became a martial master, she could move around during the day. The problem was that Xing Chick saw the 2 Yin cultivators and ran off to God knows where. Xiao Chen was a little worried. God knows if this chick would make an issue out of this to trick him again in the future. Therefore, it was better to reduce the exposure of Nie Xiaoyu and Ling Qinxue. You're welcome. This is what I should do. You've saved me several times before. Nie Xiaoyu said with a smile. Thank you, Master, for healing us. Xiao Yu and I will take our leave first. Old ghost of Shishan's voice was very creepy. Qing Menjing happened to walk by with a trash can in her hand. She was so scared that she took a step back. Old ghost Shishan didn't dare to stay any longer. After bidding farewell to Xiao Chen, he left with Nie Xiaoyu. Xiao Chen, where did you get to know these 2 guys? Why are they so creepy? What the hell are they? After Nie Xiaoyu and the others left, Qing Menjing felt that the temperature in the room had finally returned to normal. That's right, they are ghosts. To be precise, it should be a Yin cultivator, right? Jia Muzin's eyes shone as he looked at Xiao Chen and asked. That's right. That's right. Xiao Chen nodded and said, Menjing, you don't have to worry. Although they are ghosts, they are not bad people. Jia Muzin couldn't help but frown when he heard what Xiao Chen said. He didn't have any discrimination against Yin cultivators, but he still kindly reminded him, Xiao Yi, listen to me. Don't have any contact with Yin cultivators in the future. I heard that Yin cultivators will suck the essence of cultivators. They are not kind people. Many masters in the martial arts world hate Yin cultivators to the bone. They will kill them on sight. If the news that you are in contact with them gets out, it may cause a lot of trouble. Knowing that Jia Muzin was thinking for his sake, Xiao Chen didn't refute. He just smiled helplessly and said, I'm afraid it's too late. Xing Chick left in a hurry just now. I guess she went to report the news. You mean Xing Gongzi? He is actually from the martial arts world? But why did you call him Chick? He clearly. Could it be? Jia Muzin suddenly seemed to understand something and looked at Xiao Chen meaningfully. It's exactly what you think. But it doesn't matter. If you want to report it, go ahead. I'll deal with it when it comes. Xiao Chen shrugged. Jia Muzin looked at Xiao Chen and secretly cursed. This Xing Gongzi has been following Xiao Yi since school started. He even offered Ling Xiaoxue to him. There must be something fishy going on. Maybe it's another love debt for Xiao Yi. TSK, he doesn't look good. I didn't expect him to have such a romantic history. Xiao Chen didn't notice Jia Muzin's gaze. He turned his head and saw that Tian Suran's mood was slightly better. He walked over and comforted him, Miser Soran, you don't have to worry too much. In the future, I will be by your side to protect you. No one will dare to have any ideas about you. Tian Soran gratefully looked at Xiao Chen and nodded. Just as he was about to speak, he heard Jia Muzin say, "I don't think so. Now that these two are dead, the truth will be revealed soon. The Jia family will definitely send more people to cause trouble. The Jia family is a family in the martial arts world. They have their reasons for coming to capture Tian Soran. However, they still dare to send more people to the secular world. Do they really not care about the rules of the martial arts world?" Xiao Chen asked. The family definitely won't, but Jia Huiyan probably won't let this go. His most powerful subordinates are at the 10th level of the Martial King realm. Although you might be at the Demon King realm, I'm afraid you're no match for them. Jia Muzin explained. Jia Muzin understood Jia Huiyan's personality too well. This person always sought revenge for the smallest grievance. He definitely had many tricks up his sleeves. Didn't he leave his family and come to university because of this? Martial King? Wow, that scared me to death. Should I go buy insurance first? Xiao Chen patted his chest exaggeratedly and said with a frightened expression. Baby? What baby? Where is it? Jia Muzin was startled and looked at Xiao Chen suspiciously. What was he talking about? The baby is in Menjing's tummy. Xiao Chen was at a loss. He didn't know how to explain at all. He could only point at Qing Menjing's tummy and spout nonsense. Go to hell. Qing Menjing rolled her eyes at Xiao Chen. Oh right. Jia Muzin felt strange just now. He looked at Xiao Chen and asked, "What's your real name?" Xiao Yi? Xiao Chang? Or is it Xiao Chen? Also, she's not called Qing Yao Yao, but Qing Menjing? Yes, my real name is Xiao Chen. Yao Yao's name is Qing Menjing, and Ling Xiaoshue's name is Ling Qinxue. Xiao Chen wondered if he had too many fake names. Jia Muzin nodded and didn't make any comments. Instead, as if he had made a decision, he said, "How about this, you guys run first. I'll stay here to help. Even if Jia Huiyan really sends people over, they shouldn't dare to do anything to me." "Forget it, there's no need." Xiao Chen shook his head. He had been hiding for a few months and was a bit tired. Now that his strength was not the same as before, he didn't want to play hide and seek anymore. "What do you mean?" Jia Muzin was stunned. Could it be that Xiao Chen was going to sacrifice himself to save Tian Suruan? Chapter 962. What I mean is, even if they come, I'll kill them all. Xiao Chen said calmly, "Let's talk about your situation. You're not going to hide it anymore, are you?" What's your strength?" Jia Muzin was so shocked that he almost stuttered. His opponent was a level 10 martial king. How come this guy doesn't look afraid at all? Instead, he looks very calm. Actually, it's not that high. However, I should be able to kill demon kings and martial kings. Xiao Chen said innocently. What? Jia Muzin gasped. He thought he had misheard. Oh, by the way, Menjing can also help. Although she's a girl, she's quite strong. Xiao Chen pointed at Qing Menjing. The Missy snorted disdainfully. However, the slight smile on her face showed that she was still happy. Looks like you've been lying to me for a long time. If that's the case, let's talk about it together. Jia Muzin was speechless for a long time before he sighed from the bottom of his heart. However, Jia Muzin felt that it was reasonable. Back then, they didn't know each other, so there was no need for him to tell her everything. Didn't he hide a lot of things from her as well? This time, he didn't hide anything and told her everything. Jia Muzin's parents passed away when he was very young. He was raised by the elders of the family. Since he had displayed outstanding cultivation talent from a young age, Jia Muzin was envied and suppressed by the other disciples of the family. Among them, Jia Huiyan was the most despicable. Jia Muzin had suffered a lot of bullying and indifference in his family. He had always been suppressing this sullen feeling in his heart. That was why he had left in anger and went to the secular world to study at a university. To put it bluntly, he had actually been pushed out of the Jia clan. Although the master of the Jia family saw everything, the Jia family had always allowed the disciples to develop freely. The elders would not interfere with any conflicts between the disciples. The patriarch firmly believed that this was the only way for the younger generation to receive the most comprehensive training and stand out. The most outstanding person would inherit the position of the next patriarch, and those who were not outstanding enough would be eliminated. After listening, Xiaochen pondered for a moment and said, "Actually, my experience is similar to yours. It's just that my parents went missing, and then another family broke off the engagement. In the end, I was chased out of the family." Holy **T, isn't your counterattack a little too successful? Jia Muzin was astonished and repeatedly clicked his tongue in wonder. However, seeing that Xiaochen had returned to his original appearance, which was much more handsome than his loser appearance, Jia Muzin could only shake his head, and said with melancholy and helplessness, "You're still more awesome than me. Not only did you fiercely slap the face of the family that broke off the engagement, but your ex-fiancée will probably be regretting it so much that she'll cry in the toilet. Jia Muzin, you bastard. You're the one who fainted from crying." Qing Menjing, who was originally listening quietly at the side, suddenly glared at Jia Muzin and scolded him. Jia Muzin was stunned again. He suddenly understood the reason why Qing Menjing was mad. It seemed like she was the fiancée that Xiaochen had mentioned. He had really committed a big taboo by pointing at a monk and calling him a baldy. Jia Muzin could only laugh dryly, feeling a little embarrassed. On the other side, Su Chuxia and Ling Qinxue were also very shocked after listening to Xiao Chen's story. They didn't expect that Xiao Chen had experienced so many setbacks and could still successfully counterattack in the end. It really wasn't easy for him to come this far. If it were them, they would probably have been defeated by reality a long time ago. When she heard that Qing Menjing and Xiao Chen had been engaged since they were young, and that after the engagement was broken off, the two of them had been together until now, Tian Shoushou felt a little sad. It turned out that the two of them had such a close relationship. However, when she thought about it, she suddenly felt that she couldn't give up so easily. She was already pitiful enough. If she gave up on Xiao Chen as well, wouldn't she be even more pitiful? Thinking of this, Tian Shoushou encouraged herself in her heart and quickly ran over. She hugged Xiao Chen's arm and snuggled into his embrace, unwilling to let go no matter what. "Shoushou, what are you doing? This is a public place. You should at least restrain yourself." Su Chuxia frowned and couldn't help but remind her. She was a little dissatisfied with Tian Shoushou's public display of affection. "Chuxia, Sister Shoushou only has Xiao Chen as her boyfriend that she can rely on. You are Sister Shoushou's best friend, so you should be able to understand my difficulties, right?" Tian Shoushou said with a bitter expression. Her eyes were filled with grievance, like that of a homeless animal. The Tang family in the martial arts world had completely treated Tian Shoushou as a tool for profit. It wasn't easy for her to find a life-saving straw like Xiao Chen, so how could she let go so easily? Tian Shoushou made up her mind. This time, she had to rely on Xiao Chen no matter what. I remember someone telling me that she definitely wouldn't fall for a worthless man like Xiao Chen. Why does it seem like that person has already forgotten what she said? Although Qing Menjing also pitied Tian Shoushou, she still couldn't help but tease her. Tian Shoushou was suddenly at a loss for words. She could only pretend that she didn't hear Qing Menjing's teasing. Her heart was filled with regret. It was all her fault for being too full of herself back then. Now that she knew the truth, there was no room for her to beat around the bush. Qing Menjing was only joking. Seeing that she was pitiful, she didn't say anything else. Xiao Chen pondered for a moment, then asked Jia Muzin, "Isn't the Jia family's competition an internal competition? You can actually ask for outside help? Won't the patriarch intervene?" Hearing the conversation between the two fools and Jia Muzin, Xiao Chen felt a little strange. Logically speaking, the internal competition of the family was nothing more than to choose a more outstanding successor. If they relied on outside help, wouldn't it be putting the cart before the horse? Even if Jia Huiyan relied on outside help to become the patriarch, he didn't have enough strength. Then, he reckoned that it wouldn't be long before the Jia family declined. Could it be that the Jia family's patriarch was so old and muddled that he didn't understand such a simple logic? Most importantly, as the successor, Jia Huiyan, because he relied too much on outside help, he was controlled by others. Then, sooner or later, the Jia family would be annexed by others. Just like back then, the Shao family looked for the greedy Sun family to cooperate in order to seek an opportunity to turn around. If it wasn't for him making a move in time, the Shao family's assets would have long been in the pockets of others. As for the reason why Shao Chen asked this, it was because he suddenly thought of a countermeasure to solve the current predicament. However, he still needed to confirm this crucial information. Shao Chen, you might not know this, but outside help is an important tradition of the Jia family's competition. However, this is only one of the competitions. The outside help invited by the juniors of the family will compete against each other. The goal is to test the strength of the juniors' connections. After that, the juniors of the family will have another competition to test the juniors' strength. Jia Muzin pushed his glasses and explained. Chapter 963. So that's how it is. Then I heard you say that Jia Huiyan can win just by relying on external help. Shao Chen nodded and asked. Not bad. Jia Muzin's expression was somewhat ugly. Jia Huiyan's external aid is quite powerful. Therefore, he intends to use this opportunity to continuously farm points in the large competition. Furthermore, the other party is a member of the Tang clan, so the other reinforcements wouldn't dare to kill them. If that's the case, then what's the strength of this foreign aid? Why is he so powerful? Shao Chen asked curiously. He's a first-level martial honorable cultivator. Jia Muzin subconsciously lowered his voice. He felt that this word alone was enough to be deafening. Martial honor? What the hell is that? Shao Chen was stunned and asked. Does that mean he's more powerful than a peak martial king realm level 10? Jia Muzin was immediately speechless. He was stunned for a long time before he couldn't help but ask, You're already a demon king, yet you don't know about revered martial artist? How did you level up like that? Don't tell me it's a cliched story of a peerless expert falling off a cliff to give you an unparalleled divine skill? Probably. Shao Chen spread his hands with an innocent look on his face. When Jia Muzin saw that he really did not know, he could only explain in detail what a martial saint was. There was a dividing line between a martial venerable and a demon venerable. Becoming a venerable was the beginning of the path to the great Tao. Compared to before, one's strength was on a completely different level. In order to become a supremacy, not only did the cultivator have to possess great talent and perseverance, but they also needed to have a little bit of luck and come across a fortuitous encounter. Before becoming a venerable, as long as one put in the effort, one could basically break through naturally. However, it was different for venerables. The chances of becoming a venerable were extremely low. Because of this, venerables were very rare in the martial arts world, and Jia Muzin only knew a few of them. Venerables are actually so rare? Shao Chen was a little surprised after hearing this. Aren't venerables one level below Demon King and Martial King? Why is it so difficult? That's the theory. Jia Muzin shook his head and said, but it's very difficult to become a venerable. In the current internal martial arts world, there are not endless natural treasures. Very few people can advance to the venerable realm just by relying on their own hard work. Most cultivators are stuck in the Martial King or Demon King realm for their entire lives, unable to break through. Then how did Jia Huiyan's helper become a martial saint? Could it be that he has some sort of shortcut? Shao Chen realized that this venerable seemed to be much more powerful than ordinary cultivators. There are no shortcuts to breaking through to the supremacy realm. You can only head to the supremacy realm and comprehend the great Tao there. Only then will you be able to successfully become a supremacy, Jia Muzin said with a solemn expression. Venerable secret realm? What's that? Xiao Chen had heard too many new terms today. He felt that his brain was a little less open. This concerns an important secret of the inner martial arts world, and that is the heavenly jade mine. You must have enough spirit stones in order to open the path to the venerable realm. Jia Muzin knew that Xiao Chen knew nothing about this, so he patiently explained. In other words, once I enter the venerable realm, I'll become a venerable when I come out? Xiao Chen asked again. That's not necessarily true. Jia Muzin smiled noncommittally. There's a chance of breaking through after entering, but there's also a chance of failing and suffering a backlash. There are even some who lack the opportunity and are unable to comprehend the way to break through for the rest of their lives. They'll be trapped in there forever, never to come out. Since there's a chance, why doesn't everyone enter? I believe that there are many demon kings and martial kings at the full circle in the inner martial arts world, right? Xiao Chen asked. It's not as good as you think. Jia Muzin smiled bitterly. First of all, there's a limit to the number of people who can enter the venerable realm. Secondly, as I said earlier, even if you enter, you might not be able to come out. Furthermore, the chances of successfully breaking through are too small. Many cultivators are unwilling to take this risk. After all, a martial king at the full circle is already very powerful. They don't want to risk their lives for an illusory possibility. I see. Xiao Chen nodded. On the surface, he appeared to be deep in thought, but in his mind, he was shouting, Elder Heaven Ancestor. With my current strength, do you think I have a chance of winning against a martial honor? A martial honor is nothing. Elder Heaven Ancestor's tone was filled with disdain. Why do I have to remind you every time? You're a cultivator. Don't compare yourself to those martial arts and demonic Tao trash. No way. Is the difference between us that big? Elder Heaven Ancestor, don't try to fool me. No matter what, I'm still a highly educated scholar. Xiao Chen was startled and probed. Didn't Jia Muzin say that the chances of a demon king successfully breaking through to the demon honor level is extremely low, and there's a chance of suffering a backlash? That sounds very powerful. What does it have to do with whether they're powerful or not? If they can't break through, it's because they're incapable. The so-called martial honor level is only one level higher than a martial king or a demon king, and they have some special abilities. Elder Heaven Ancestor said calmly. What special abilities? Xiao Chen was like a curious baby, and quickly asked. They can use divine weapons. Elder Heaven Ancestor knew that Xiao Chen didn't understand, so he explained, they can inject martial qi or demonic qi into their weapons, and those weapons will increase their attack and defense. In fact, they're just a little more powerful, but not as powerful as you. Then I won't be nervous anymore. Xiao Chen let out a sigh of relief, and suddenly thought of something, and quickly asked, oh right, if I reach the Golden Core stage level 10, what's the next stage? The next stage after the Golden Core stage is the original infant stage. But don't bite off more than you can chew, and make good use of your time to cultivate. Elder Heaven Ancestor said impatiently. Oh. Xiao Chen was a little embarrassed. This master of his really, if he didn't insult him a few times, he would feel uncomfortable. Jia Muzin was waiting for Xiao Chen to continue, but after waiting for a long time, he didn't hear anything. Instead, he saw Xiao Chen standing there in a daze, and his face was alternating between red and white. Jia Muzin couldn't help but feel a little puzzled, so he raised his hand and patted his shoulder, and asked, Xiao Chen, are you okay? Why are you in a daze halfway through? It's nothing, I'm thinking about how to help you. Xiao Chen came back to his senses, and saw Jia Muzin looking at him with a puzzled face, so he explained a little embarrassedly. The other party has an expert of this level, I think. Although Jia Muzin was touched by Xiao Chen's righteousness, he was still very hesitant. But before he could finish his words, he was interrupted by Xiao Chen. I think, although Jia Huiyan's external help is an expert of the martial honorable level, it's only at the first level, so it shouldn't be a problem. Xiao Chen said with a smile. Jia Muzin sucked in a breath of cold air. This Xiao Chen's courage is too big, isn't it? The other party is already a martial honorable, and he actually said it shouldn't be a problem? Could it be that this is his secret to counterattack? Chapter 964. How about this? If I can think of a way to help you fight for the position of the young master, can you get in touch with some of the core secrets of the Tianyu mine? Xiao Chen had regained his composure and asked straightforwardly. After listening to the words of the elder heaven ancestor, Xiao Chen's originally worried heart finally relaxed. Since the elder heaven ancestor said that the venerable one was not as awesome as him, what was there to be afraid of? If one came, he would kill one. If two came, he would kill both. Xiao Chen immediately decided to use the Jia family as an entry point to enter the inner martial arts world. The Jia family had shares of the Tianyu mine. As long as he could help Jia Muzin get the position of the young master, he would be one step closer to finding his father. What? You can help me fight for the position of the young master? Jia Muzin was shocked and looked at Xiao Chen in shock. His face was full of disbelief. Yes, that venerable one is no big deal. I can kill him. Xiao Chen said lightly, looking very awesome. However, just as he finished boasting shamelessly, the voice of the elder heaven ancestor sounded in his mind at the wrong time. You can't kill him. With your attitude, he can kill you. Xiao Chen was stunned and asked doubtfully, Elder heaven ancestor, didn't you just say that I was awesome? Why? I said that a cultivator is awesome, but the premise is that your level can keep up. The elder heaven ancestor exposed him mercilessly. Even if you are a lion, when you were a cub, you couldn't stand it if a wild horse kicked you. What should I do? Xiao Chen felt as if a bucket of cold water had been poured over him. Don't brag. Be careful when you meet the venerable one. He can't kill you, the elder heaven ancestor said lightly. At most, no one can kill anyone. What if I level up? Xiao Chen asked tentatively. A small flame of hope was ignited in his heart. He can kill anyone at any time. The elder heaven ancestor answered decisively. Understood. In that case, I have to hurry up and go for dual cultivation. Xiao Chen immediately grasped the crux of the problem, and he no longer felt guilty. Xiao Chen, did you just say that you can kill a venerable? What exactly is your strength? Jia Muzin was shocked for a long time before he came back to his senses. He couldn't help but carefully ask. His strength must be very high. Xiao Chen asked anxiously, just tell me if it's feasible or not. Jia Muzin's spirit shook, and he immediately nodded and said, if I become the young patriarch, then there's definitely no problem. Young master has access to the core secrets. I can find a way to find whatever information you want. He was a little surprised. He didn't expect Xiao Chen to offer to help. Originally, he thought that he would be thanking the heavens and the earth if he could get the position of elder. In the end, Xiao Chen actually went straight for the position of young patriarch. All right. That's settled then. Xiao Chen nodded. We'll all stay here for the next few days. We can take care of each other. Otherwise, it'll be troublesome if the Jia family comes again. I don't have a problem with that, but... Jia Muzin looked at the four girls, a little troubled. This house is only so big. Will it be inconvenient for everyone to live together? Looking at the people present, Ling Qinxue and Qing Menjing were Xiao Chen's real girlfriends. It seemed like Tian Wangchuan had also been won over. There were only 2 rooms in this house. Jia Muzin pondered. He couldn't possibly live with Su Chuxia, could he? You don't have to worry about that. Xiao Chen smiled. In this building, there are many rooms that belong to Tian Wangchuan. She took advantage of the low price to hoard a few houses. It's not a problem for everyone to live separately. After hearing this, Tian Wangchuan hurriedly took out the keys to the other rooms and placed them in front of everyone, letting them choose whichever they wanted. Because Xiao Chen, Qing Menjing, and Ling Qinxue wanted to cultivate, they chose room 1501 next door. Su Chuxia and Tian Wangchuan stayed in the original room 1502. Jia Muzin was too lazy to pick a room alone. He casually took the key to room 1402 downstairs and moved in. Although it was indeed better to live alone, Jia Muzin felt uncomfortable looking at Xiao Chen surrounded by so many beauties. He sighed in his heart that everyone had different fates. Fortunately, he was open-minded and did not take it to heart. After the rooms were assigned, in the next few days, Xiao Chen seized the time to cultivate. Everyone only gathered at Su Chuxia's house for lunch and dinner. Xiao Chen cooked for everyone, then they chatted for a while before going their separate ways. They rarely saw each other during other times. Tian Wangchuan saw that Xiao Chen closed the door every day and played 3P with Ling Qinxue and Qing Menjing. She couldn't help but feel sad and envious. However, she couldn't muster up the courage and was too embarrassed to participate. Although Tian Wangchuan was usually bolder, when it came to this kind of thing, as a girl, she was still a bit thin-skinned. That day, Chick Xing rushed out of the door and immediately ran back to the dormitory. She called Elder Son to report the situation. Elder Son, that Xiao Yi really is Xiao Chen. And according to my observation, his strength has already advanced to the peak of the 7th level of the Demon King realm. What should we do next? After the call went through, Chick Xing immediately explained the situation. What? Xiao Chen is already this powerful? Are you sure you're not mistaken? On the other end of the phone, Elder Son's voice was extremely shocked. Isn't this Xiao Chen's leveling speed too fast? Why is it like he's riding a rocket? No. Previously, he used a godly weapon to kill 2 of the Jia family's underlings. His strength leaked out. I saw it clearly. Chick Xing said with certainty. Jia family? How did he get involved with the Jia family? Elder Son sharply caught onto the suspicious point and asked in surprise. I'm not too sure about the specifics. I heard that it's because of a girl called Tian Wangchuan. Chick Xing was also confused about this point. She could only say what she knew. Tian Wangchuan? Elder Son frowned and tried to recall for a while. He really couldn't remember such a name in the inner martial arts world. Thus, he said, let's not care about this first. Find a way to find Ma Wuzhao and let him deal with Xiao Chen as soon as possible. That matter is about to start. We must let Ma Wuzhao make a move as soon as possible and lure that person out. This. Chick Xing was a little depressed. She thought to herself, this guy is hiding without a trace. Even you can't find him, how am I going to find him? What's wrong? Elder Son heard Chick Xing's hesitation and his tone became a little serious. It's like this, Elder Sunday. I also discovered something just now. Chick Xing suddenly thought of something and immediately came up with a plan. She eagerly reported, Xiao Chen is actually working with a netherworld cultivator in the mortal world. Do you think we can make use of this and secretly frame Xiao Chen, and then? Then my ass. Before Chick Xing could finish, she was rudely interrupted by Elder Sunday. Chick Xing was stunned. Did I say something wrong? Chapter 965. Elder Son continued to scold her angrily. I say, have you become stupid after staying in the secular world? If you spread this news and attract a bunch of martial artists to attack Xiao Chen, then no matter how strong he is, he will still die. You were the only outsider at the scene. If it wasn't you who spread the news, who else could it be? Wouldn't that be selling out the entire awakening sect? This. Miss Xing was at a loss for words. She realized that she had indeed been too impatient and thoughtless. What's more, even if that person really comes out, our Awakening Heavens sect will also be finished. Elder Son reprimanded in exasperation, all right, don't bother with those useless things. Quickly think of a way to find Ma Baixia and let him deal with Xiao Chen. This disciple understands. Little Miss Xing replied dejectedly. Give me a reply if there's any news. With that, Elder Son hung up the phone. Hearing the busy tone from the phone, Miss Xing sighed and thought to herself, you make it sound so easy. If Ma Beizhao was so easy to find, Why would I even bring up this idea? What if he's already dead? Even though she was filled with resentment, she still had to complete the task given by the sect. Miss Xing thought for a while and decided to write a letter to the Kuei Mountain sect. She told Ma Beizhao about Xiao Chen's specific location and hoped that he would come as soon as he saw the letter. After sending the letter, Miss Xing wandered around the streets listlessly. She was at a loss. In the past few months, she had been searching for Xiao Chen's whereabouts. Now that she had finally found him, she had to go back to find Ma Beizhao. This way, not only would her cultivation progress be severely delayed, but she would also not be able to participate in the plan. She was too unlucky. Just as Miss Xing was vexed over her bad luck, Xiao Chen and his group had just finished dinner at Su Chuxia's house and were chatting idly. She didn't know what was wrong with Tian Suruan again. He kept chatting with Ling Qinxue and Qing Menjing, and they were all talking about irrelevant things. He talked about random topics, and the topics were endless. The two girls wanted to leave earlier, but seeing Sour's excited expression, they were too embarrassed to say it out loud. They could only sit there and accompany her, occasionally chiming in. Su Chuxia saw that Ling Qinxue and Qing Menjing were a little embarrassed, so she said, "Sour, stop pestering Qinxue and Menjing. They're going to cultivate with Xiao Chen, and you've been resting at home for a few days. It's time for you to go back to school. Let's sleep early tonight, or else you'll refuse to go to bed tomorrow." "What class?" Xiao Chen had already helped us apply for leave, and he himself didn't go to class. "Why should I go? What if he encountered danger again? No one can protect Sister Sour now." Tian Sour curled his lips. When did you ask for leave? Why didn't I know about this?" Su Chuxia was surprised to hear this news. "I applied for leave this morning, and the school has already agreed," Xiao Chen said. Since he was busy cultivating, there was nothing for him to do at school. If Jia Huiyan's people or Ma Baizhi came, it would be more dangerous for everyone to split up. Therefore, Xiao Chen gave Xia Zhili a call and asked him to communicate with the school to apply for leave for everyone. Anyway, they could go back anytime they wanted. Seeing Su Chuxia's surprised expression, Tian Sour pulled her hand and said, "Chuxia, why don't you skip class too? That Shui Gao is like a fly, always pestering you. There's no point in going. Why don't you just stay at home and accompany Sister Sour? Why didn't you tell me in advance?" Su Chuxia complained. She was a little hesitant. Although she felt that Shui Gao was annoying, she felt that it was wrong to skip class. She felt conflicted. "I'm sorry, Chuxia. I already explained the situation to Professor Su this morning, and he agreed," Xiao Chen said apologetically. "This is a critical time, I hope you can understand." "It's okay, I was just a little surprised and wasn't mentally prepared." Su Chuxia waved her hand. Tian Sour was still chatting with Qing Menjing and Ling Qinxue. Seeing that it was getting late, Xiao Chen walked over and reminded them, "Miser Sour, eldest young mistress, Qinxue, and I still have to prepare to go to Sanxiu. You guys can chat tomorrow." Qing Menjing and Ling Qinxue also stood up and prepared to leave. "Wait." Tian Sour suddenly stood up and shouted as she watched the three of them walk to the door. Seeing that Xiao Chen and the others had turned their heads, Tian Sour's face turned slightly red. She said shyly, "Xiao Chen, take me with you." "Huh? What?" Xiao Chen didn't understand and asked blankly. "Together. Sanxiu." After voicing out her thoughts, Tian Sour finally relaxed. She pouted and said, "Sister Sour is your girlfriend, right? Why can't you bring me along? You guys are so secretive every day. I don't know if you guys are cultivating or doing something else." You want to go too? Are you sure?" Xiao Chen's eyes widened in disbelief. "I'm sure." Tian Sour nodded firmly. "Since Sister Sour isn't going to marry that Jia Huiyan, then I'll definitely follow you. Sister Sour has decided, starting today. Xiao Chen saw that Qing Menjing and Ling Qinxue were looking at him with a faint smile. They didn't object, so he shook his head helplessly. All right then, let's go. Don't regret it later. Pfft. Sister Sour has seen everything. Who are you trying to scare? Tian Sour gathered her courage for a long time. Of course, she wouldn't back down now. She puffed out her chest and swaggered out behind Xiao Chen. Qing Menjing and Ling Qinxue looked at each other. They didn't know whether to laugh or to be angry. Su Chuxia and Jia Muzhen were left standing in place, stunned. When they reached the room next door, Xiao Chen and Qing Menjing went to shower separately. As there were only 2 washrooms in this house, the other 2 could only wait. Tian Sour quickly took the opportunity to chat with Ling Qinxue in a low voice. Qinxue, Sister Sour has something to ask you. Although Tian Sour looked like she didn't care, when she thought about doing it with Xiao Chen, she immediately felt a little scared and guilty. What's wrong? Ling Qinxue asked. When a girl does it for the first time with a guy, does it hurt? Tian Sour blushed and asked shyly. Tian Soran originally planned to ask Qing Menjing, but considering that Qing Menjing was his official fiancé, she might explode if she asked inappropriately. Plus, she knew that she had never said anything nice to Qing Menjing before, so Qing Menjing definitely didn't like her very much. Thus, she didn't dare to casually ask and could only ask Ling Qinxue these private questions. Chapter 966. This. I'm not sure either. Ling Qinxue blushed with shame and answered after a long while. She really didn't know. Her first time was gone when she was drunk. Now that she recalled it, she couldn't even remember the whole process. How could she feel pain? You don't know either? Didn't you do it with Xiao Chen? Tian Souring was puzzled. Then, she seemed to understand something. She slapped her thigh and said, Sister Souring understands. It wasn't your first time, so you can't remember. No, didn't I tell you before? I was drunk at the time, so I didn't feel anything. But, when I woke up the next day, I did feel a little pain. Ling Qinxue's cheeks turned red as she quickly explained. Oh right. I forgot. Tian Souring suddenly remembered something. Also, I heard that if you don't wear a condom, it's very easy to get pregnant. But why didn't I see it in the room? Looking around, Tian Souring decided to take action. She opened the drawer of the bedside table and searched everywhere, but she couldn't find the small box. She couldn't help but be surprised. Ahem, don't worry. Xiao Chen isn't a scumbag in society. He knows what he's doing. Looking at Tian Souring's nervous face, Ling Qinxue smiled helplessly. This little girl was fearless and shamelessly followed her. She didn't expect that it was all an act. Did he do it on your mouth? No. Sister Souring can't do it. Tian Souring's imagination went wild. Thinking of this, she immediately shook her head like a rattle drum. Looking at Ling Qinxue's sexy lips, Tian Souring sighed in her heart. As expected of a girl from Japan, she can actually accept such a big thing. In the past, when she was bored, she would secretly watch some action movies. She always felt that there were some things that would only appear in movies, and she definitely wouldn't do it. She didn't expect to encounter it herself. She couldn't help but panic. What do you mean? Ling Qinxue was stunned. Seeing Tian Souring staring at her lips, she immediately reacted. She lightly punched her in embarrassment and said with a red face, It's not what you think. He is. What are you guys talking about? What do you mean by this and that? Just when Ling Qinxue was about to explain, Xiao Chen had already finished showering and walked over in his bathrobe. He happened to overhear the conversation and asked with a puzzled expression. Nothing. I'm going to take a bath first. Tian Suruan hurriedly gave Ling Qinxue a look, signaling her not to say more. He then waved his hand, picked up a change of clothes, and hurriedly ran to the bathroom. This little girl, she's always so mysterious. Seeing how flustered Tian Suruan was, Xiaochen turned to Ling Qinxue and asked, "What did she say to you?" "It's all about girls, you won't be interested." "That, is Menjing done?" Ling Qinxue blushed and quickly changed the topic. Xiaochen didn't care too much. He nodded and said, "Well, she's fine now. You should go and wash up too." "Okay." Ling Qinxue also stood up and took her underwear and panties to the other bathroom. After showering, Tian Suruan walked into the largest room with a towel wrapped around her. She found that the others hadn't arrived yet, and the room was empty. Looking at the huge bed in front of her, Tian Suruan's expression kept changing. After hesitating for a while, she clenched her teeth and lay straight on the bed. She closed her eyes tightly and waited anxiously. Just like other girls, she had fantasized countless times about who she would be with for the first time. Was he handsome? Was he a rich second generation? During the process, would he be gentle and considerate to her? Would it feel wonderful? In short, as long as it was a normal first experience, Tian Suruan had considered all the questions that girls could think of, even some that normal girls couldn't think of. For example, was the other party's technique good? What if she was asked to use a strange position? And so on and so forth. She had also thought of some of the more bizarre questions. She had purposely looked for short movies to watch and studied the tricks involved in it. This was so that she could understand the entire process in advance so that she could be mentally prepared when the time came. However, when Tian Suruan found out that she was just a tool for her family's marriage alliance and that she would end up marrying a guy with a stupid appearance and an extremely twisted heart, all of her previous fantasies were shattered like soap bubbles. She couldn't bear such a terrifying future. When she thought of sharing a bed with a perverted man and spending the rest of her life with him, she would immediately break down. Therefore, Tian Suruan chose to escape from her family and hide in Lan City. She and Su Chuxia became best friends who talked about everything. However, when she met Xiao Qin, who was pretending to be Xiao Chang, and was confessed to by him, her cold heart, which was originally closed to the feelings between men and women, gradually rippled. She felt that life had suddenly become colorful and had a hint of meaning. In the past, Tian Suruan had an urge to give her virginity to Xiao Chang. However, every time she mustered up her courage, she was afraid that she would implicate Xiao Chang because of the Jia family. Therefore, after struggling for a while, she gave up on this idea. It was only when she was in danger and Xiao Qin saved her in the nick of time that Tian Suruan completely opened her heart. The feelings that she had accumulated for a long time poured out like a flood. She secretly made a decision in her heart that no matter what happened in the future, she would follow Xiao Qin without hesitation. She would let him be her sustenance for the rest of her life. Therefore, she chose to give her body to Xiao Qin and wanted to occupy a place by his side. "Suruan, why are you lying on the bed alone in a daze?" At this moment, Xiao Qin walked in from the living room. Cheng Menjing and Ling Qinxue followed behind him. "No, nothing." When Tian Suruan heard Xiao Qin's voice, her heart beat like a drum. She didn't dare to open her eyes. Xiao Qin looked at Tian Suruan's nervous look and felt it was a little funny. He turned off the light in the room and said, "Sit up. We are going to start cultivating." "Ah. Oh, okay." Tian Suruan opened her eyes subconsciously and realized that the room was dark. She immediately became even more nervous. She didn't know why Xiao Qin wanted to sit up by himself. Could it be that he wanted to do some foreplay first? Yes, it should be like this. Wasn't that how it was in those short movies? The male and female leads would first play some tricks and gradually arouse the other party's emotions. Finally, they would enter the main theme. This way, the girl wouldn't be too resistant. It seemed that this was what Xiao Qin wanted to do. As the room was dark, Tian Suruan couldn't see the movements of Xiao Qin and the others. She only felt the bed suddenly sink. It seemed that a few people had sat on it and were close to her. She quickly sat up and her breathing became a little heavy. Chapter 967. Come on, don't be nervous. Put your left hand and my right hand together, and your right hand and Qinshue's left hand. Xiao Chen could see everything clearly in the dark. He held Tian Souring's hand and guided her unhurriedly. Tian Souring followed Xiao Chen's movements in a daze. At the same time, she felt a little inexplicable. What is this guy doing? How can foreplay be like this? It's different from those short movies. Shouldn't it be mutual caressing or kissing? Could it be that this is the difference between double cultivation and fourth cultivation? Because there are 4 people here, so I have to arouse everyone's emotions? That's right. Otherwise, it would be a little awkward for the other 2 to watch. Tian Souring thought she understood the reason. After waiting for a while, she realized that Xiao Chen only let her and Ling Qinshue's hand touch each other, and the other hand was held by him. Then, he didn't do anything else. Tian Souring was completely confused at this time. What is this situation? Why isn't Xiao Chen following the routine? Does he want to do it with me or not? Okay, you can start to practice your mental cultivation now. Eliminate all distracting thoughts. Don't let your imagination run wild. After putting the 4 people's hands together, Xiao Chen instructed Tian Souring. The other 2 girls were already very familiar with it. There was no need to give any more pointers. Why do you want Sister Souring to practice her mental cultivation? What are you trying to do? Tian Souring couldn't help but ask in confusion. This doesn't make sense. Tian Souring was a little depressed. Could it be that Xiao Chen and the others were really just practicing and didn't do anything else? We want fourth cultivation. Didn't I say it before? Xiao Chen replied with an innocent face. What do you think? This, I didn't think much of it. I just want to recall the content of the mental cultivation. Tian Souring stopped in time and changed her words perfunctorily. She clearly didn't have any intention of doing that, so how could he rush over and say that he wanted to do that? Tian Souring didn't say anything on the surface, but she was still a little disappointed in her heart. She naively thought that when men and women stripped naked to practice martial arts, it must be done through that. Wasn't that how it was written in those martial arts novels? He didn't expect it to be completely different from what he had imagined. However, her mental cultivation base had been neglected for several years. Originally, she was only a martial artist with level 1 inner force. The head of the family thought that she would be married off sooner or later, so it was useless to cultivate. Therefore, he did not emphasize on her cultivation. After that, Tian Souring ran away from home and never returned. After so many years, she had almost forgotten the mantra. Xiao Chen didn't rush her. Instead, he and Cheng Menjing and Ling Qinshuo immersed themselves in cultivation first. Tian Wangshou thought for a long time and finally remembered something. She immediately activated her mental cultivation method, got rid of all distracting thoughts, and began to cultivate with Xiao Chen and the others. The night passed quickly. The next morning, when Tian Souring stopped cultivating, she was surprised to find that she had already reached the peak of stage 6 inner force. Although compared to Xiao Chen and the others, this strength was really nothing, but it still made her happy for a long time. The disappointment of not being able to do that with Xiao Chen also disappeared. Anyway, as long as she stayed by Xiao Chen's side, she would be able to push him down one day. On the contrary, Cheng Menjing and Ling Qinshuo were still stuck at the ascension stage and did not make any progress. Instead, it was Xiao Chen who welcomed the breakthrough that he hadn't had for a long time. From Golden Core stage level 9, he directly soared to level 10 full cycle. This made Xiao Chen very excited. He thought to himself, could it be that the more people who cultivate, the faster I can level up? If he could find a few other girls to cultivate with him, then wouldn't he be able to smoothly break through to the nascent soul stage in one go? In his excitement, Xiao Chen pulled Tian Souring over naked and gave her a big hug. Only then did he realize what he had done. Afraid that the other 2 girls would be jealous, he immediately rolled off the bed and slipped into the bathroom to put on his clothes, leaving Tian Souring sitting there in a daze. Mu Sen, when will Jia Huiyan's men come? I'm getting impatient waiting. Why don't you call back and urge him? Ask them to come quickly. This young master's schedule is very full, I don't have time to wait for them. When everyone gathered in Su Chuxia's house to eat breakfast, Xiaochen drank his porridge in high spirits, crossed his legs, and asked leisurely. His current strength was equivalent to a half-step demon venerable. As long as he found time to slightly consolidate his cultivation, he would reach the first level of demon venerable sooner or later. Therefore, even if he had to directly face the experts of full cycle or venerable in the inner martial arts world, Xiaochen was not anxious. In fact, his hands were a little itchy, and he could not wait to meet them so he could test his current strength. It can't be, can you really defeat an expert of the 10th level Demon King realm? Jia Muzan was instantly speechless. 2 days ago, he thought that Xiaochen had set an ambitious goal. After not seeing him for a night, he actually became so confident. Could it be that some kind of miracle happened? What is the 10th level Demon King realm? Even if that first level martial venerable comes, I will still beat him to death. If he doesn't come, we will immediately make a move and go to the Jia family to meet them. Xiaochen said proudly. After all, his strength was there. Even if the other party had a divine weapon, so what? As long as they dared to come, he would still beat them until they couldn't take care of themselves. TSK, isn't it just a level up? Look at you, your tail is already in the sky. When the time comes, if we really meet a venerable level expert, I want to see what you will do. Cheng Menjing couldn't stand Xiaochen's smug look the most. She glared at him and said impatiently. She felt that Xiaochen was a little too arrogant. If the other party could have a first-level martial venerable, wouldn't they have a second or third-level expert? It seemed like Xiaochen had already tossed the experience of being beaten up by Ma Baixia and fleeing like a stray dog to the back of his mind. He really didn't learn from his mistakes. Once the scar healed, he forgot about the pain. Expert? Where is there an expert? Hurry up and ask him to come find me. I haven't killed anyone for a few days and my hands are itching. Xiaochen laughed. Boom. Before Cheng Menjing had time to refute, they heard a sudden loud sound coming from the direction of the door. Everyone was instantly shocked. When they looked back, they saw a cloud of smoke rising. The steel door that had just been installed had been blown to pieces again. A figure rushed in quickly. It can't be, speak of the devil and he will come. Xiaochen put down his bowl. Although he looked a little surprised, he didn't show any signs of fear. Why, little servant Xiaochen, let's see where you can run to this time. Everyone here will be buried with my son. The person shouted and directly rushed over. Chapter 968. However, to Xiaochen's surprise, the person who rushed out was not Jia Huiyan's subordinate, but Ma Peizha, whom he hadn't seen for a long time. Ma Peizha went back and went into closed-door training for half a year before he recovered the strength of Demon King level 10 great perfection. He had just come out of closed-door training not long ago. As soon as he came out, he received a letter from Chick Xing and learned of Xiaochen's whereabouts, so he immediately rushed to the place described in the letter. Seeing Xiaochen and his group eating breakfast, looking very carefree and happy, Ma Peizha couldn't help but get angry. He only recovered his strength after suffering for half a year. Now that he met his enemy, his eyes were exceptionally red. He couldn't wait to tear Xiaochen into pieces. Ma Peizha walked in front of everyone arrogantly, only to find that Cheng Menjing was also there. He couldn't help but laugh a few times and said, "Very good. Since you two bitches are here, I'll deal with you all together today. It also saves me a lot of effort." "Yeah, you're finally here? That's great. Finally, there's someone to practice with." Xiaochen was very happy when he saw Ma Peizha came. Although he didn't know how Ma Peizha found this place, it didn't matter. He was worried that there was no one to practice with. Looking at Xiaochen's eager look, Ma Peizha was taken aback and said with a strange face, "Are you tired of living? You're actually looking forward to me coming. Could it be that you were beaten silly by me before?" Is there something wrong with your brain? Of course not. I promised everyone before that I would perform Flying Centipede for them to see. I was worried that I didn't have a place to find you. I didn't expect that you, Centipede, would come to me. Of course, I'm happy. Xiao Chen explained seriously. You. Before Ma Peja could figure out Xiao Chen's intention, he saw him shouting loudly, "Come, come, come. Everyone stand at that place. I'm going to show you how to fly like a snake." As he spoke, Xiao Chen gave Qing Menjing and Ling Qinxue a look. The two of them understood and brought Jia Muzan, Su Chuxia, and Tian Suruan to the side. In a low voice, they told the three of them what had happened. Seeing that Xiao Chen was being serious, Ma Wuzhao trembled with anger. Clenching his teeth, he said fiercely, "Well done, Xiao Chen. It looks like your brain has been knocked out of your mind. How could you say something so stupid? You're still so stubborn even at death's door. Let's see how you beg for mercy later." Xiao Chen relaxed when he saw that everyone was in a safe area and wouldn't be affected by the aftershocks. He rolled up his sleeves and said calmly, "Let's not talk about those useless things. It wasn't easy for you to recover your strength, so this young master will be magnanimous and give you the chance to make the first move. Don't wait until the centipede flies away and doesn't even have a chance to make a move before it dies." After that, Xiao Chen smiled and waved at Ma Wuzhao, indicating that he could attack at any time. "Humph. Shameless brat, full of nonsense. You can go die now." Ma Minky was already enraged. He snorted coldly and immediately circulated his mental cultivation method, displaying the strength of a Demon King level 10 perfection stage Demon King. He flew towards Xiao Chen and raised his hand to unleash a killing move. Bam! Xiao Chen didn't dodge. He raised his hand and met Ma Wuzhao's palm. The next moment, the two powerful forces collided with a loud bang. Everyone who was standing further away felt like they were about to fall and hurried to circulate their qi to resist. Qing Menjing stood in front of Su Chuxia in time, blocking the strong aftershocks for her. How is this possible? You're also a level 10 Demon King? Ma Wuzhao was pushed back a few steps by the aftershocks and spat out a mouthful of blood. His face was full of horror. He clutched his chest and stared at Xiao Chen in disbelief. "It's too late for you to know. Go to hell." Xiao Chen was unscathed. There was a cold smile on his lips. Before Ma Wuzhao could regain his balance, Xiao Chen rushed over and kicked his lower abdomen. Ma Baixie was already heavily injured. Caught off guard, he was sent flying by Xiao Chen's kick, drawing an arc in the air and accurately flying out of the window, falling straight down to the ground floor of the first floor. Ma Wuzhao, who had no time to mobilize the demon qi in his body, could only watch as he got closer and closer to the ground. He roared in terror, "Ah! This is impossible. How could this be?" Bam! Ma Wuzhao landed heavily on the ground, creating a large pit. His expression was still full of disbelief and fear. His eyes were wide open as if he had died with a grievance. No matter how he thought about it, he could not understand how Xiao Chen's strength had become even higher than his in just half a year. Ah! Someone is jumping off the building. Help! What the F***? This is too F** king scary. I heard that a lot of people's stocks have plummeted recently. They lost so much that they jumped off the building. This guy must have lost a lot. Where are the security guards? Call 110 and 120. Property management, come quickly. There was a scream from downstairs, followed by the crowd's discussion. They were probably residents who woke up early to buy groceries. They witnessed a suicide incident early in the morning. After a while, the police car and ambulance arrived. Since everyone agreed that Ma Daobao must be a shareholder who lost money, and he was a stranger, and he did not have any documents to prove his identity, the police could not investigate. In order to calm the residents, they asked the hospital staff to take the body away. Chick Xing, who was far away, had a shocked expression on her face. She stood still for a long time. After learning that Ma Wuzhao came out of the mountain, Qixing had been following him. When he went to take revenge on Xiaoqin, she hid in the distance and watched. She was ready to help when Xiaoqin was defeated. However, as she watched, Qixing found that Xiaoqin and Ma Wuzhao were evenly matched. She couldn't help but be surprised. Before little Miss Xing could react, Ma Baixia had already been sent flying out of the window. He fell straight to the ground, dead. This scene made Qixing dizzy. Xiaoqin is already at the perfect stage of the Demon King level 10. What the hell is going on? Isn't he only at the 7th stage of the Demon King? A cold wind blew, and Qixing shivered subconsciously. Only then did she come back to her senses. She quickly left Jingji district and ran back to report the situation. She felt that Xiaoqian's existence was too dangerous. This strange leveling speed couldn't be described by normal people. If he wasn't eliminated as soon as possible, he would pose a threat to Qi Tianmen sooner or later. TSK, this flying Ma Wuzhao doesn't look interesting. It's not fun at all. Xiaoqin dusted off his clothes and looked downstairs in disgust. Xiaoqin, are you okay? Are you hurt? Cheng Menjing and Ling Qinxua quickly ran over and looked him up and down. Tian Suruan also stood next to him nervously. Chapter 969. I'm fine. I'm fine. Xiaoqin shrugged and turned to Jia Muzhen, who had his mouth wide open in shock. Forget it, I'm too lazy to wait. Let's just go to your house and beat Jia Huiyan up. I'll make you the young master so I can go to the Tianyu mine to find my father. Jia Muzhen hadn't woken up from the scene just now. He stuttered and couldn't even speak clearly. Why? Don't you believe that I can help you? Xiaoqin joked with a smile. I believe you. Of course I believe you. Jia Muzhen nodded quickly and looked at Xiaoqin with a sincere expression. In that case, let's go as soon as possible. Jia Muzhen estimated that the date of the foreign aid competition was approaching. Since he had Xiaoqin's help, it was like adding wings to a tiger. He also wanted to return to the Jia family as soon as possible to make preparations. Suddenly, a weak female voice was heard. Su Chuxia stood there with an uneasy expression. Chuxia, the internal martial arts world is too dangerous. Don't go. Just study at Lan University and wait for Sister Sour to come back. At that time, Sister Sour will definitely get rid of that disgusting Jia Huiyan and come to find you with ease. Tian Sour knew that Su Chuxia was too weak to go to the internal martial arts world with them, so he immediately ran over and hugged her arm. Okay, I'll wait for you guys to come back. Su Chuxia also knew that if she went with them, she would only be a burden to others, so she nodded and agreed. Okay, then let's go back to school first and take a long vacation. Jia Muzhen said with a smile, after all, after going to the internal martial arts world, we don't know when we can come back. It's okay not to go to class for a few days, but if there's no news for a few months, we will definitely be expelled. Everyone felt that it made sense, so they nodded and agreed. Before we go, let's clean up the room first. Xiaoqin walked to the door and looked at the broken iron door. He felt a little heartache and muttered, sigh, I just spent money to install a new iron door a few days ago. I didn't expect it to be broken again so soon. I shouldn't have killed Ma Baizhao just now. It would have been better if he had paid for the iron door first. Isn't it just installing an iron door? It won't cost you much money. When did you become as greedy as a miser? Cheng Menjing rolled her eyes at Xiaoqin and reprimanded him. Now that Ma Wuzhao was dead, Xiaoqin could withdraw the money in the bank without worry. Not to mention installing an iron gate, he could even buy the whole building. However, it seemed like half of this building was already sour. Sister Sour really got shot while lying down. Tian Sour sighed gloomily. She didn't dare to argue with Cheng Menjing, the legal wife. After muttering to herself, she lowered her head and started to clean up the room quietly. Since the iron door was broken, and they were in a hurry, Su Chusha could only ask the property management to help fix it. Fortunately, it could still be locked. After everything was done, she felt at ease and followed the others to take a taxi to school. Initially, the school did not agree to their request for leave. After all, they could not explain the specific reason. Furthermore, there were too many people, and the period was a little too long. However, after Xiao Chen called Xia Zhili and told him about the matter, it did not take long before the school teacher, who had a sour expression on his face, completed all their procedures with a smile. The few of them discussed for a while and decided to go back to their dormitories to pack their luggage. Then, they would meet at the school cafeteria and leave after eating. Cheng Menjing asked for Xiao Chen's opinion. She planned to treat Ling Qinyu to a meal as well. Although they had not lived together for a long time, they still had a bit of a roommate bond. Qinyu usually took good care of her. Now that she was leaving, she had to at least tell Ling Qinyu before she left. When they walked into the dormitory, Cheng Menjing saw Ling Qinyu watching TV in the outer room. She said, "Senior Qinyu, are you free this afternoon? My boyfriend and I will probably be away for a few months, so I want to treat you to a farewell meal." "You? Who are you? Why do you have the key to my dormitory?" Ling Qinyu thought it was Cheng Yaoyao. When she turned around, she realized it was a beautiful girl she didn't know at all. She was stunned and asked cautiously. Ling Qinyu felt that this girl's voice was similar to Cheng Yaoyao's, but she had never seen her face before. Did she go to Korea for plastic surgery? "I'm Cheng Yaoyao. Or you can call me Cheng Menjing. That's my real name." Cheng Menjing suddenly remembered that she hadn't disguised herself since she recovered her face. No wonder so many students stared at her on the way back. "Ah. It's you. Why is your face?" Ling Qinyu quickly stood up and stared at Cheng Menjing's face in confusion. Cheng Menjing had no choice but to give a simple explanation, because of some special reasons. "I disguised my face before, and now this is my true appearance." "I see. But you look much better than before. Your boyfriend is so lucky to have such a beautiful girlfriend like you." "Oh right. Why are you guys leaving so suddenly?" Ling Qinyu nodded and asked as she watched Cheng Menjing pack her luggage. "Hee, Senior Qinyu, you're beautiful too. But the reason is a little complicated. Let's go to the cafeteria first. I can't express myself clearly in such a short amount of time." Cheng Menjing finished packing, held Ling Qinyu's hand, and left the dorm for the cafeteria. Ling Qinyu tilted her head and looked at Cheng Menjing carefully. She felt that Cheng Menjing's skin was fair, and she was beautiful. She didn't look any worse than her, and she had the outstanding temperament of a lady from a wealthy family. Why would a girl like this fall for a loser with average looks like Xiao Yi? However, Ling Qinyu felt that Xiao Yi might also be in disguise. Maybe he's also quite handsome, and that's why he took Ling Qinyu as his girlfriend. These people might all have their own stories. Coming to Lon City University might just be a small interlude in their lives, and that's why they had to leave now. Thinking of this, Ling Qinyu felt a little disappointed. She had just gotten used to having Cheng Menjing as her best friend. She didn't expect her to leave so soon. From now on, she would have to live alone again. Facing an empty dorm all day, her days would be extremely boring. As expected, when Cheng Menjing and Ling Qinyu appeared on campus hand in hand, they immediately attracted a large group of male students. Ling Qinyu was already a well-known campus belle, and now there was another campus belle-level girl standing next to her. And their looks weren't inferior at all. Chapter 970. Everyone was trying to guess Cheng Menjing's identity. Some people even took out their phones to secretly take pictures. However, the two of them seemed to be very used to it. They calmly arrived at the cafeteria. In the cafeteria, Xiao Chen had already opened a private room and was waiting. After Ling Qinyu entered, she immediately froze on the spot with a face full of astonishment. Ling Qinyu saw two familiar faces sitting there leisurely, looking at her with a smile. Hi, senior sister Qinyu, we meet again. Long time no see. Xiao Chen waved his hand and warmly greeted Ling Qinyu. Hello, Qinyu. Ling Qinxue faintly smiled and greeted back. She had a lot of words in her heart, but she didn't know how to say them. Oh, hello. Ling Qinyu's smile was a bit forced. Although she knew that Ling Qinxue was her biological sister, she still couldn't accept this fact. She could only choose to temporarily avoid the other's gaze. She turned her head to look at Xiao Chen and said uncertainly, You are Xiao Yi? Bingo. You guessed correctly. 10 points. Xiao Chen snapped his fingers and happily nodded. Then why didn't you say so earlier? Why did you lie to me with Qing Menjing? Ling Qinyu blurted out, but her tone carried a sense of blame that she didn't even notice. Previously, she thought that Xiao Yi was too ordinary and didn't match Qing Menjing at all. However, after knowing the truth, Ling Qinyu felt a bit resentful towards Xiao Chen. This guy, why did he lie to her? Ahem. I also have my own difficulties. Back then, I was being chased by my enemies, so I took Qing Menjing to hide. Xiao Chen was also a bit embarrassed and helplessly described his recent experience in detail. Do you not trust me? Do you think that after telling me the truth, you will bring trouble to yourself? Ling Qinyu asked a bit angrily. Thinking about how she was kept in the dark for so long, she couldn't help but feel angry. Seeing Xiao Chen, who she hadn't seen for a long time, Ling Qinyu had a strange feeling in her heart. After Xiao Chen left, she had been looking for her grandfather Ling Tian to ask about Xiao Chen's whereabouts. However, she never received a direct answer. Every time, the answer was that Xiao Chen was on a mission. Ling Qinyu once asked herself if she had fallen in love with Xiao Chen, but it didn't seem like it. She had an unclear feeling towards Xiao Chen. Because Xiao Chen was the only bodyguard that she could get along with him. Although the two would bicker from time, Ling Qinyu still felt that Xiao Chen was like a big brother. Xiao Chen was her. That Xiao Chen was too. Previously, Ling Qinyu had been thinking of asking her grandfather to transfer Xiao Chen back to her side. However, her wish wasn't fulfilled. At this moment, she finally understood that Xiao Chen had always been by her side. However, when she found out about this, he was about to leave again. At this moment, Ling Qinyu's heart was filled with a myriad of emotions. For a moment, she couldn't tell what she was feeling. She stood there in a daze. You're thinking too much. I didn't want to implicate you. That's why I chose not to say it. At that time, the other party was too strong. I couldn't even protect Menjing. If those people found out about our relationship and used you to threaten me, it would be even more troublesome. Xiao Chen knew that Ling Qinyu was unhappy and explained patiently. Really? Then why did you hook up with her? You should know that she wanted to harm me. Ling Qinyu came back to her senses. She was a little angry. She pointed at Ling Qinxue and asked suspiciously. Ling Qinyu still didn't trust Ling Qinxue at all. Although they were blood-related sisters, Ling Qinyu felt that there was no reason for an older sister to help someone kidnap her own younger sister. If it wasn't for Xiao Chen's timely discovery, she would have become their prisoner. Moreover, in order to obtain benefits, they might even do some heinous things to him. Qinyu, actually, I've always wanted to apologize to you. However, I never found the opportunity. I hope you can understand my... Ever since Ling Qinxue saw Ling Qinyu, she had a guilty expression. However, before she could finish, Ling Qinyu interrupted her. Forget it. In front of so many people, don't even think about pretending to be a good person. Keep your act to yourself, I won't buy it from you. How do I know that you won't harm me in the future? Ling Qinyu snorted coldly and glared at Ling Qinxue. Qinyu, your words are a little too much. No matter what, Qinxue is your blood-related older sister. Now that she's sincerely apologizing to you, can't you let her finish speaking? Xiao Chen frowned and reprimanded in a low voice. He knew Ling Qinyu's spoiled and unreasonable temper. However, it also depended on the situation. She couldn't be too unreasonable, right? Humph. You think you can just because she says so? Ling Qinyu muttered. She knew that she couldn't win against Xiao Chen in an argument. She pouted angrily and turned her head away. When the others saw that the atmosphere was a little tense, they couldn't help but look at each other. They didn't dare to open their mouths to smooth things over. After all, they didn't know the truth of the matter. Only Qing Menjing pulled Ling Qinyu's arm and persuaded her in a low voice. Ling Qinyue looked at Xiao Chen gratefully. She took a deep breath and adjusted her emotions before saying, "Qianyu, I don't know if Grandpa told you that I was sent to the sect to cultivate since I was young, but I was switched halfway through." "Yes, he did, but that doesn't prove that you're my biological sister." After being comforted by Qing Menjing for a while, Ling Qinyu's mood improved slightly. Her expression relaxed, but she still didn't trust Ling Qinyue. She replied stiffly. This matter was done by the Sakura group. In order to let the Sakura group infiltrate the martial arts sects and hide in the martial arts world, they secretly switched me with another Japanese girl. Ling Qinyue explained the matter as concisely as possible. Ah. Swapping a raccoon for a prince. This is the first time Sister Sour Sour has seen this in real life. Tian Sour Sour exclaimed and was pulled back by Su Chuxia. Yes, so my surname should be Ling, but I still don't know my real name. Ling Qinyue nodded and said lightly. Oh. Then why are you called Ling Qinyue? Did idiot Yorishima change your name? Xiao Chen asked doubtfully. Although he had been with Ling Qinyue for a long time, Xiao Chen had never heard her talk about her background. This was the first time he had heard about it. No, after I was taken away by Yorishima, I was fostered in the family of a researcher who worked for the Sakura group. That family had a daughter who was a few days younger than me. After I became sensible, I always thought that she was my biological sister. Ling Qinyue shook her head and said, "You're tuning into the Journey of the Soul YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories."